Thomas Tuchel's busy trying to bring glory back to England for the first time since '66. But how did he get here? Well, from the sleepy town of Eubank via some giants of European football, here's his journey to Wembley. Sitting around 60 miles west of Munich, Eubank's population is less than 14,000 people. But Tuchel's friends there remember a boy whose ambitions lay far beyond the Bavarian community. His will to win was evident early. Tuchel often captained his youth football teams, and his school side lifted the national German football trophy in 1987. The sport took the young defender on a whistle-stop tour of South Germany, from Augsburg to Stuttgart and then Ulm. A knee injury ended his playing career at the age of 25, though. Tuchel accepted his first coaching role in the Stuttgart youth setup in 2000, hired by none other than Ralf Rangnick. Under Tuchel's stewardship, the club's under-19s won their league title in 2005. But Stuttgart chose not to renew his contract, feeling Tuchel had an abrasive personality. He went on to manage Augsburg's second team before spending 5 years at the helm at Mainz. He then followed in Jurgen Klopp's footsteps and moved from Mainz to Dortmund. Here, Tuchel secured his first major silverware, the German Cup, in 2017. 8 more major trophies came next for Tuchel in just 5 glorious seasons. He won 2 Ligue 1 titles and a pair of domestic cups as PSG boss. At Chelsea, he famously lifted the Champions League, as well as a Super Cup and a Club World Cup, and he also bagged a Bundesliga at Bayern Munich. And then, 4 months after leaving Bayern, Tuchel was unveiled as England's new manager.
I always wanted to come back to England. That was my big goal. I have the best memories of the country, of the league and of the players, the attitude towards the game, the attitudes from the supporters.
Well, here's hoping Tuchel can finally drag England over the line at a major tournament.
Good morning, everybody. You're listening to Jim White and Simon Jordan. We're live in talkSPORT. So wins for Manchester City and Newcastle, while Chelsea draw at Karabag. Is Maresca morphing into Tinkerman Ranieri? And are we seeing 2 different versions of Newcastle? Meantime, FIFA awarding their own Peace Prize to Donald Trump. Would it be ludicrous or smart politicking? Also today, can we confidently say Manchester City are indeed back? As tennis prepares for another battle of the sexes, is this format enticing or outdated? 39 years on, does anything rival the Sir Alex appointment? And from midday we talk boxing with fight pundit Spencer Oliver. 1 week out from Ben versus Eubank Jr., the rematch. Jim White and Simon Jordan, we're live in talkSPORT.
100% engagement. Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
Now, what people don't know is how this man battles against all adversity and comes into his workplace. The door opens, and I was tipped off by someone close to producer Luke that Simon's not feeling his best today. He's feeling a wee bit, not feeling 100%, you know, a little cold in the throat, etc., etc. You walk in, I look at you, and he mouths to me, "I feel like death." How are you?
Are you going to get on my bloody nerves?
If you're watching on TV, look at me now. Feigning interest. Feigning concern. How are you feeling?
Grotty. but
Right.
no working from home for the likes of us.
See, and for that, I applaud you.
Yes,
Absolutely
indeed.
right.
Indeed.
Working from home. That's not a phrase that goes down well with either Mr. White or Mr. Jordan. We're always in here. Simon, well done for being in, because we have a lot to get through, not least in the world of boxing. It is cranking up big time towards Ben Eubank 2. Well, I was about to say before you released that noise from his mouth, incidentally. Are you in any way getting interested in it this time?
No, look, I think it's
I think you will next week.
Well, you can think again then. The terminology unfinished business is the only thing that's unfinished about it. They didn't manage to rinse enough money out of people the first time round. Unfinished what? Fight was won. What we got returned for? What's the return for?
But look, you know it more than me. This is what happens in boxing.
Show business, absolutely.
But if Ben wins this time around, you know what's happening. There we are for the trilogy.
You can choreograph another one so that we can all sit there and rinse some more money out of it.
That's boxing.
I think there's better things to be doing than watching Conor Benn versus Chris Eubank. I think there are more meaningful fights that both of them could have had with more substance. I don't begrudge them earning money. If people are foolish enough to want to put this kind of money in these two fighters' hands, I know they turn around and say, "Oh, it was a wonderful fight. It was a wonderful fight. They left everything in the ring," so they should. I've seen just as good a fights in Witherspoons. So with due respect to the boxing profession.
Nonsense.
I think it's
You weren't there first time around. It was brilliant.
I watched it on the Sunday morning. I don't deny the spectacle. I don't deny the noise and the show business element of it. I don't deny Chris Eubank's innate ability to be able to be so charismatic in press conferences. He's overreached this time with his nonsense. But the fact is that I don't appreciate it. I don't value it as a fight. I don't value the circus around it. I don't buy into the nostalgia crap. I don't. And people can say I'm mean-spirited. I just have a different view of it. And so that means that everyone that goes to enjoy it, worry about your enjoyment. Don't worry about my lack of enjoyment.
You're clinging to this view. One man's view. I mean, are you more against it this time than you were the first time around?
I think a lot of people are not particularly enamoured by it. Ask Frank Watton what he thinks of it. People might say because he hasn't got any skin in the game and ain't making any money out of it. Yeah. But the fact of the matter is, I look at it and say, no. Yeah. I think there's an element of charlatan about this. Yeah. But other people will say, how can you say that? These two guys went in there and left everything in the ring. Well, what's that, a bonus for everybody? Is that a bonus for everybody that people go and pay a lot of money and reward these fighters way beyond their skills and way beyond their level and standing in boxing? Can
you deny that first time around that this fight actually lived up to the hype?
Well, I can't deny that with the spectacle and the fact that people are so gullible and so Chris Eubank has turned up. Well, I wasn't surprised he turned up. I wonder if he got paid to turn up. That would put a damper on everyone's nostalgia, wouldn't it? The fact of the matter is people like it, people appreciate it, and that's their business. And if I don't, it's my business.
Many messages are coming in, interestingly, all on the same theme. Jim, Simon has never set a foot inside Wetherspoons, ever,
yes, I
says
have.
Mark.
Yes, I have.
So does Barry. So does Barry, the Spurs fan. Well, they're not having you in Wetherspoons.
I looked through the window and I thought, oh, not for me.
We'll get to the boxing later on this morning because the diminutive but very effective Spencer Oliver is going to be stepping into this studio around 12 noon, amongst others. You can look forward to a cracking boxing hour, I can assure you. It wasn't a cracking match as far as Chelsea were concerned in faraway Azerbaijan last night against Karabag. They came from behind to draw 2-2 with Karabag. The first time the Azerbaijani champions have taken a point off an English opponent at the 8th attempt. Incredible. Transfer expenditure since 2023. Chelsea 1.16 billion. Karabag 3.5 mil. I mean, it's unreal. Talk about a mismatch. In the world of boxing, this wouldn't have lasted a round, but it did, and it ended up a point apiece. I wonder if Enzo Maresca is morphing into Tinkerman Ranieri, Simon. He was asked post-match about why do you rotate so much? Why do you rotate so much? And then, surprisingly enough, the Club World Cup came into the conversation.
I think I tried to explain already many times. We have players. The intention tonight was to rest Enzo, to rest Moy, to rest Malo, to rest more players because they are not able to play every 3 days. They didn't recover from last season. As you said, the Club World Cup affect a lot. And we try to do, we try to rotate when you win. No one mentioned about that. I know that when we don't win, everyone is, focused on that. But now I think it's important to recover energy for Saturday and go again.
What do you think, Simon? Do you think we can expect plenty more mentions of the Club World Cup before this season is out?
Well, he seems as if he was responding to what someone said.
True.
So rather than actually bringing it up as an excuse, I don't think. I mean, Danny Murphy spoke about Qarabag yesterday as being a very good outfit, and an outfit that, if you look at the record, have beaten Benfica recently. Now, we were raving about Benfica until Newcastle did a number of them a week ago. We've got to put things into context. I don't suspect it's that bad a result. If Chelsea get into the top 16, by the way, which they are, and qualify for the Champions League, all this is background noise. PSG last year were very poor in the group stages and ended up coming through and winning the tournament and being now hailed as the best team in Europe, or arguably the best team in Europe.
Well, we often talk about where Chelsea are heading. And a couple of years ago, you said, in 2 or 3 years, they'll be knocking on the door of winning the Premier League. Yeah. Are they knocking on the door this season?
I mean, the other sides are very strong. Arsenal are very strong. Man City inevitably were going to regain their poise. Inevitably. You don't have that kind of wherewithal, that kind of seeded attainment, that kind of manager who might have been distracted with the situations in his private life last year in terms of, I think he was getting divorced and all kinds of things that might have taken him away from being focused and the rebuilding of a side. They're back into the groove. Liverpool will get back on the horse. They've done it recently in the last couple of games. Now, Chelsea, there's a point that in our brief here about Jamie Carragher's observations about the fact it's a project. I don't know if it's a project or not, but there seems to be more patience about it and more sort of not a laissez-faire attitude, but more balanced views on it. They've won the Club World Cup, so they can't just say it's a project. They're not interested in winning things because they have won something. How much meaning you attach to that? It's kind of irrelevant. They have won something. But,
I think Jimmy questions the amount of urgency involved within Chelsea at the moment. If you become Club World Cup champions, next season you've got to be thinking about winning the domestic title, have you not? Sure, I like his words. Like? Just to dwell on his words for a second, Simon, you're right to mention it. Jamie Carragher says Chelsea should be title contenders and considered Champions League contenders, challengers this season. Instead, their hierarchy seems content to be praised for being the smartest recruiters in the business. The world's richest development club.
Sorry, at what point has anybody actually come out and said that Chelsea are the world's best recruiters? What people have said repeatedly is how much money are these people going to spend?
Well, what did the man at the top, Todd Bowley, say after they won the Club World Cup? I'll tell you what he said. This is what he said to us.
We always knew that, whatever happens on any given day, and, the odds, that we thought what we had and were able to round out with a piece or two, really, put the boys and really understanding, what Enzo's been doing. We're big believers. We knew all along in the value of the project. And so, I think obviously it came together brilliantly. And those are just odds that you can't predict, but we're hopeful that every day we wake up, the odds are that, Chelsea is going to win something big.
Good, that cleared all that out then.
You would have thought that last night, going into the game against Qarabag, that they'll win that. And this morning they're waking up and think they're going to win something big as well.
But it's a group stage. Their job is to get out of the table, out of the first 16 places and get into the competition.
Can you disagree with Carragher when he says until they get back to those days, they will go into every season content to qualify for and participate in the Champions League rather than believe they should be winning it?
But I'd like to know what he means by that, because there was a score.
Well, he means it's good to be in it. It's another question winning it.
But how do you know that their urgency isn't there to win it? It's a statement based upon outcomes rather than intent. I would have thought their intent was pretty bloody evident. They've spent more money than anybody else. What's that for then? Now, there is an American mentality, we know this, which is about participation and making sure that revenue is generated, because Arsenal suffered from it for years with the thought process that are there.
Yeah, but when Abramovich arrived, though, Simon, it was, we're going to win big things, and I tell you when, now.
Yeah, that's fantastic. What happened at the end of that then? You've got a football club that nearly went out of existence because Abramovich was sanctioned by world events, and you've got a whole raft of allegations about Chelsea's inappropriate conduct in terms of paying people the wrong way.
Do you not get the impression of the pressure or maybe the urgency with which Chelsea should win something big again has maybe dissipated a bit?
Well, do I get the impression that no one's shouting from the rooftops from inside Chelsea about the necessity to win the Premier League now? Yeah, that's evident, because Maresca spent the entire time last year telling everybody that they weren't ready.
Yeah.
And you hear nothing from the Chelsea management about winning things, albeit you've heard something from Todd Bowley, albeit as sort of obtuse as it was, very general, because he's following in from the Club World Cup and talking about the fact that they've always believed. Of course they believe that they're going to win something. Of course they believe and have invested. The argument would be, if the argument was made, Chelsea really don't match pound for pound what other football clubs do. They're really not showing the prerequisite amount of ambition. What you're seeing is a Chelsea side that isn't good enough to compete at this moment in time with an Arsenal side that's taken 6 years to build. It's taken 6 years to Arsenal to get Arteta into a position where he can win this competition now. And in that period of time, they've won one FA Cup, which people would argue was Unai Emery's team in the first place.
So do you think at this stage in the proceedings, in November, Chelsea have a more than good chance of winning the Champions League?
It depends who they play and who they draw.
Do they have a more than good chance of winning the Premier League?
Depends. No, I don't think so this year. No, I don't think
so. It's another year of kicking on.
But that's because there's an element of the Chelsea don't operate in a vacuum, and Arsenal and Liverpool and Manchester City are further ahead for whatever reason it's been allowed to drift. Whatever reason, there was a 2-year period where, Potter came in, it was a bit of a mess. Lampard came in and don't know what happened there for whatever purpose.
Yeah.
You had 6 months where the club was in disarray because of the circumstances surrounding the Abramovich sanctioning. And all of those things have contributed to a slight sea change. But if you've spent more money than everybody else put together to some extent, how can you deny the fact that the club's got some degree of urgency about achieving things? Because you're spending... What's the purpose of spending money then? Why are you spending more money than everybody else? Why are you buying everybody on the market, going out and deciding to buy Argentinian club captains and paying 105 million for them, or going getting this and going after every player?
I just think after winning the Club World Cup, there was a feeling out there, right, watch us go. Watch us go. Well, we're watching. But you can't go if you go to Karabag and you draw 2-2.
Why? It's a group stage game. If you can get through the group stages into the 16, why? PSG did the same thing. What's the difference?
So at the moment, where will they go? They're 12th in the Champions League and 7th in the Premier League. Yeah. How will it finish up? Will they win one or both?
I don't think they'll win either.
See, there we go.
But they might
what kind of season does that equal?
Well, in comparison with the past, I imagine that people could make the comparison to suggest that the urgency, or whatever the urgency looked like, the landscape was very different.
Yeah.
You've got different amount of competition in the marketplace now. You've got different amount of sides. You've got a different setup than you had 21 years ago when Abramovich walked through the door and bought the Premier League via Jose Mourinho.
Well, let's put it out there to the Chelsea fans listening this morning, Simon, and there are many, judging by the messages actually coming in. What kind of season do you expect this season under Maresca? Here we are into November, and I've told you where you are in the Champions League and where you are in the Premier League race. Is it a season of kicking on, or is it a season of further consolidation? 03717 223344 81089, and just a medical update into me here from Simon's GP. Nothing wrong with them. It's 10:15. Good morning, everybody. It's just gone 10 this Thursday morning. A lot to get through. Celtic in action tonight, of course. We'll hear from Martin O'Neill in interim charge as they take on Midtjylland over in
I'm
Denmark.
a Celtic fan now, aren't you?
Well, you have jumped in the bandwagon. Yeah. I tell you what, your old chum Sir Rod Stewart has had a few things to say about the resignation of Brendan Rodgers and the arrival of Martin O'Neill. He's a huge fan of Martin O'Neill.
Is he?
You're going to hear from Sir Rod later, praising you, praising the show. Before you insult
I'm only tongue-in-cheek. I really do want Celtic to do well because I really want Martin to do well.
Well, I'm the same. I really do want them to do well, but as soon as Martin is out of there, as he suggests he will be sooner than later,
we'll see.
He's going to be back sitting alongside us here.
Well, we win both ways. If he does well at Celtic, our friend does well. If he leaves Celtic and comes back here, we get him back, don't we?
Precisely right. We're in a win-win situation. We are when we ask you for calls. Every single morning in this show between 10 and 1, when we ask you out there, calls on X, Y and Z, you lift the phone, you get in touch. And Chelsea fans are doing just that. And we've heard from Maresca. We heard a bit from Todd Bowley when he spoke to me exclusively on this show after you won the Club World Cup in the US of A. But where are you at now? Carabag 2-2, Simon's right. Chelsea are going all right in this Champions League campaign. They're going all right in the Premier League campaign. But the bigger question is, are they going to end up with either trophy come the end of this season? So what are your expectations this season? Tell us, because I'm somewhat in the dark. 03717 223344. Nick, you're first up. Good morning to you. Welcome to the show. Simon's with me. What are your expectations for your boys?
Good morning, guys. Hope you feel better soon, Simon.
Thank you, mate.
Thanks for having me on. And thanks for being the voice of reason, Simon, as well, because I listen to you and I think, I keep nodding. We're divided as Chelsea fans. I mean, I'm part of a social media group. It's about 4,000 of us worldwide who support the club for over 50 years. And the jury's a little bit out on Maresca, but I'm not disappointed with last night's result. We played away at Spurs Saturday night. We flew 6 hours yesterday to Azerbaijan. We drew. We should beat a side like Azerbaijan, but he rotated the squad quite understandably. You said we're 7th in the Premiership. Factually correct, Jim, but I would say to you 2 points off second place, so one win, that could change early days in the season. My expectations are that we finish top 4 and that we progress well in the Champions League. I think we'll make something like the quarters or semi-finals this year, which is progression.
Progression. So, Nick, is this a season of consolidation again?
I think we're moving forward. I think there are good signs. We had our blip, and I was worried a few weeks ago. I must admit, we had a really bad blip. Yeah. But then we picked up. I think we've had one defeat in the last 7, and some really good signs. I mean, we've made some brilliant signings. I do think, I hate to say it, I sound like a broken record, but I do think the Club World Cup Championships did affect us. And
Nick, you're obviously steeped in what the club does. Before you leave us, are your expectations as a big Chelsea fan any different to what they were under Abramovich to what they are now under Bowley and Igbali?
They're different. That's all, because it was more like instant gratification when Roman Abramovich was there. I just think I'm quite happy to be a bit of a medium to long term rather than instant gratification. I've been going to the bridge since the early 70s, so I've seen lots of dross. So I should be, as Simon said, we're a club that could have gone out of business 3 years ago. So I've got to be grateful, haven't I?
Brilliant. Nick, great call. Thank you for joining us. Here's Jason, another Chelsea fan, through to Simon and myself. Jason, good morning. What are your expectations for Chelsea this season?
I'll be happy with top 4 because I listen to the show every day, and every day when we're talking about the Premier League, it's about how strong it is. And we're not playing in Scotland, Jim, where if you're not Rangers, if you're not Celtic, although Hearts are doing well this season, you've got to be winning that league. But look,
was that just for me, Jason? was that just for, right? Fair enough, mate.
But look, realistically, you've got Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal. They're 3 hugely strong sides that are going every year. So it's not like you've got to concentrate on trying to beat one team to finish. Like, so it's not like you go, oh, okay, if we finish above Man City, then we're going to win the league. No, because you've got to finish above Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal. So,
Jason, do you agree with Jamie Carragher that these days, until they get back to the days that they used to have and the way they played under the ownership of Abramovich, they'll go into every season content to qualify for and participate in the Champions League rather than believe they should be winning it?
I never agree with him. Unless it's something to do with Liverpool, I just think he's always wearing the rose glasses. It's not like when Abramovich was there. I believe that the league is stronger now than what it was when Abramovich first come in. So it's not, again, going back. I know that we obviously have Man United and stuff like that, but Liverpool weren't the force back like then, but they are now.
Yeah.
Neither were Arsenal.
Yeah.
And we're saying about Arsenal and how strong they are, but Simon said it. There's 6 years in the making to get to this position.
Yeah. Yeah, Jason, here's the man himself. Engage with Jason. What do you think? I think Jason's speaking a lot of sense.
Yeah,
actually.
absolutely. I was going to say, do you feel culturally? I mean, I'm not sure of Maresca. I don't know whether he'll take you to where you need to go to, which is once again a tied side that's capable of winning the league. But do you feel culturally inside Chelsea that there's less motivation? I don't know if the messaging is that we're not particularly motivated. I think Chelsea want to win things. I just think they, as you say, they're coming up against, Chelsea might be an irresistible force, but the other teams are immovable objects. Do you still, as a fan base, demand and expect Chelsea to be a club that's not just participating, but is winning things?
No, I expect them to be competing because it's so strong. I expect them to be able to.
But is that
compete.
a sea change in your mentality over the last 20? And given that period of time when Abramovich was firing everybody, you had some success. If the manager didn't give him the absolute success, he fired him. At that time, was your mindset, well, we're in it to win it? Was that your mindset then, and you've now adjusted it because the circumstances have changed?
That's a key question. You've nailed it, Simon.
It has, yeah, it has, because I don't think it's the same as it was then. Because as you said, Abramovich, he sacked Ancelotti after he'd done the double one year, come second the next, and wallop, gone in the tunnel. So I think Maresca last season pretty much did what I would say was expected, which was he got top 4, which was the main thing, and he obviously won the conference that we was in. So I know the FA Cup and obviously the Carabao Cup. However, I think no one expected us to win the Club World Cup, and I don't think many of us was that bothered until we started actually doing well in it.
Yeah, true.
But
true.
I just think it has changed slightly. Whether or not he's the man to go take us to the next level, I think it's pretty much like as you said before, a little bit of an Eddie Howe kind of question.
But will the attitude? Okay, let's frame it in a different way. If you don't see progress this season, if you don't finish 4th or 3rd in the league, and you don't bring something home, a trophy of some shape or description, will the natives start getting restless?
Potentially, but as I said, you've got Liverpool, Man City and Arsenal all above us. You've got Bournemouth who are coming through very well. I do expect them to probably drop off, but I think that we should be top 4. If we're not, then I don't think it's necessarily a great season. If we can add a cup to that like he did last year, that would be good, and a good showing of ourselves in the Champions League.
Okay.
So to get to the latter stages, and if we go out to one of what are the so-called big boys, then so be it.
Well, Jason, you made me very happy early on when you said you listen to the show every day, and today you've been on it. That offer is open to everybody who listens to this show between 10 and 1 weekdays live on talkSPORT. Thanks to Jason. Good luck to Chelsea in their quest to do something this season, and we'll watch how they progress. We saw how Newcastle and Manchester City progressed in the Champions League last night. We'll talk about them next. It's 10:30.
Cricket balls are red, baseballs are white, American footballs are brown, and tennis balls are yellow. We don't even think about it really, but the story behind the tennis ball is actually quite interesting and even involves Sir David Attenborough. I know, here's the tale. Tennis has its roots in 12th century France when people used to make balls from all sorts. Cork, wool, chalk, animal fur and even human hair. Uniformity was found centuries later when people started making balls out of something called vulcanized rubber, invented in the US. But the balls kept on breaking, so a British lawyer, who also loved tennis, suggested they put a flannel covering on the outside, and thus the tennis ball as we know it was born. One problem, it was either white or black. And when the controller of BBC Two, Sir David Attenborough, decided Wimbledon would be shown in colour on the BBC in 1967, no one could actually see the balls on telly. So the International Tennis Federation went away and created a new colour called Optic Yellow, which would show up without the need for a 4K LED display. Not that anyone had that in the 1960s, of course. Since then, all tennis balls have been covered in that material and have their trademark colour for that exact reason. Amateur tennis players and dogs worldwide are forever grateful. You could say the ITF aced it.
Morning, everybody. Thursday, November the 6th. It's Jim White and Simon Jordan. We are live on talkSPORT. No one can say that we don't do our bit to help this man get through the 3 hours. Feeling a wee bit, well, not quite himself this morning, so we're getting a Lemsip for him at the moment. It's going to be delivered to you by hand by one of the members of staff in a second. We'll get you there. We'll get you through this. We're going to be talking boxing, Simon, as you know, later on this morning. And it is intriguing. All of a sudden, there's another region in the world that is coming through that wants to identify itself as a major force in the world of boxing. Yeah, and that is Nigeria in West Africa. And the chief executive of Balmoral Group Promotions, Dr. Ezekiel Adamu, who is a character to say the least of it, is going to be joining us, Simon, live on the show from about 12:30.
Okay, then.
Good. There's a lot going on out there. There's a lot going on out there. There's a lot going on in Saudi, a lot going on here, a lot going on in Vegas. But Nigeria, Ghana, West Africa wants to be part of that.
The bigger the scale that boxing gets, it's a sport that I love anyway, so the bigger the scale it gets around the world, the better it is, I think.
For sure. Last night, not for the first time, Newcastle faced a bit of a challenge in the Champions League. They were up against the Athletic Club, the La Liga side from Bilbao in Spain, of course. And Newcastle came through it well. They won 2-0 as they continue their aim of reaching the Champions League knockout stages for the first time in their history. It was their third successive Champions League win. 6 wins in the last 8 in this competition. But contrast that with the Premier League, where they sit 13, 3 wins from their first 10 and 10 goals scored. So contrasting form domestically compared to European, undoubtedly. And Dan Burn reflected on that pre-match.
I think normally, like, if you have a bad game and 1 or 2 players aren't playing well, you can sort of carry that. But I think you could say that it was pretty much the full team. Had an off day and it was frustrating. I think we sort of let ourselves down. We really wanted to make amends for sort of the away form that it's been this season and push on, and that didn't happen, so it was very frustrating. But the frustrating thing is that obviously we've got the Champions League tomorrow, and I think everybody knows that we will turn up for that game, and the crowd will be buzzing and we'll be buzzing and at it, and it's just about trying to replicate those performances. I think it's very, very easy to get up for these games and play in these Champions League nights, because it's what you sort of you want to play in your career and on these best games, and I think this is these other games where we'll say Brentford on Sunday is the games where you really got to sort of earn your money and turn up and perform there. So I think that's the frustrating thing for us, that I feel like we've got lads in there that can do it and will do it, and we've got a squad that fights for each other, but we're just not putting in those performances sort of away from home.
Interesting, Dan Burn there. He certainly turned up last night, didn't he? With his headed goal in the 11th minute. Joe Linton made it 2 and they won it 2-0. But this contrasting form thing, Dan Burn said, yeah, it's alive and well, sadly. We're up for the game against the Athletic Club, where they beat them. But he said, but just equally, we've got to be up for the game against Brentford as well. It's all important. And at the moment, they're doing well in Europe, but not so well domestically.
So from that, one would assume that they're not up for these games, or is
they need to be more up for the domestic games? Okay,
well, when I look at their results, and the Champions League has its own unique energy around it, doesn't it? And it brings a unique expectation from players and from fans alike. And because it's rare for Newcastle, with respect to them, over the history of the last 30 years in the Premier League, they've only been in the Champions League 2 or 3 times. So this is all rare and new to them. The fans are going to provide a different level of energy. The players will have a different level of expectation. And so they've gotten these results in these games. And perhaps some of the teams they've been playing against in Champions League format are slightly easier teams with the style of play that they have than maybe some of the Premier League opposition. Because if you look at Newcastle's results this season, there's too many draws in there. And if you look at the games that they've lost, with the exception of I thought they were very poor on the weekend against West Ham, then there's not many results in there that are that dreadful, besides the fact that they've drawn games that you might have expected them to get a result in. Away to Leeds in the second game of the season, there's always going to be a difficult game because Leeds are a newly promoted football club with bags of energy behind them. And you look at the other results, you think, well, where's the problem?
Well, the problem is away from home.
Drawing 0-0 away to Bournemouth ain't a bad result.
No, but hang on, Simon.
Top side.
There's a bigger problem. In this calendar year, they've only won 4 league games away from home. That equals problem.
Okay. Well, that may well be the case.
We're in November.
It may well be the case that they need to look at their away form. And it may well be that they're transitioning from a team that had Isak up top that was giving them an option, then they're adjusting to the new fellow up top and they're creating outcomes in that respect.
Yeah.
But I don't see that there's a huge problem at Newcastle. I think their margins away. And if anyone's going to get it right, it's probably Eddie Howe and his management team, because I think they've got most things right in Newcastle in the last 3 or 4 years.
Well, what they've got to do is turn that European form into the domestic form. They've got to reflect that domestically. But what they've got also to do is the way they set out and play at St James's Park, they've got to replicate that somehow away from home. And Bruno Guimaraes even wrote about that in his programme notes. St James's Park is a safe place for us where we know we play our best football. Well, how about doing it, Bruno, away from home? Then you're onto something. Then you might start dreaming of winning something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, again,
they do have the 12th man in that home crowd.
Yeah, I mean, they're not scoring enough goals away from home. And if you look at the 3 games that I would look at now, which is Villa, Leeds, and Bournemouth, they're all 0-0s.
Yes.
And if those have been, one of those games have been turned into, or 2 of those games have been turned to a 1-0 victory for Newcastle, we'd be talking about a team that was probably 6th in the league.
Yeah.
And no one would be saying anything.
I mean, you look at it forensically, only Wolves have scored fewer goals in the Premier League away from home than Newcastle.
And in this season.
You're right.
And that might well be because they're adjusting to a whole new style of play because they've got a completely different centre forward than the one they had before. And there might be an element of that going on.
Possibly.
And it might be that other players have got to chip in a bit more, and whether you've got to see more from Anthony Gordon, whether you've got to see more from Harvey Barnes, whether you've got to see more from other forward players that are going to create more outcomes while this centre forward's bedding in and finding his feet.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, players that come into sides don't always hit the ground running. And there was, of course, the observation from Karl-Heinz Rummenigge that Newcastle were idiots for buying him at that price anyway.
Yeah.
I have no fears for Newcastle United about being moderately successful this season.
Fair enough.
But I have no expectation of Newcastle winning the league and judging them by those standards. I would be surprised if Newcastle aren't in and around the top 8 of this league, because quite frankly, where else would they be?
Right.
Their spend pattern isn't bigger than everybody else's. They have lost their best player. So with respect to Eddie and the tools that he's been given, you know, I'm not giving him a pass, but I am saying that what is the expectation of Newcastle?
Oh, of course. And when it comes down to it, though, pre-match, would they have taken 2-0 against Athletic Club? Yes, they would. Another scoreline, though, that catches the eye even more is Manchester City 4, Dortmund 1.
Yeah.
Now, that was at the Etihad. And Phil Foden, good morning to you, Phil, if you're listening. No doubt you probably will be. You played a blinder. 6 wins in the last 7, 3 wins and 4 in Europe, taking them to 4th in the Champions League table. I mean, there's something special going on there, is there not, Pep?
No, the vibe. I said many times, the body language, just how they compete, how they are. It's easy to say because I would say the same when we lost against Aston Villa 1 week ago. So I said the same. The team is, but I said that for the day one this season and when I was in the World Cup. I like a lot of things they see. And the most important thing is, of course, you have to be good now because you have incredible opponents, especially in the Premier League. Like Arsenal looks like unbeatable in that moment. It's just to fact at the end you win titles or win a rival when the team grows. It's always important to be good now, but you have to see the team grows and work for to be better. And when this happens, you arrive in the last stages being there, and after we see what happens. And that is the feeling that I have.
Yeah, it is happening for them, Simon. We'll really begin to think it's happening for them if they find a way of beating Liverpool this Sunday. They come out of that 4-1 winners. Liverpool come out of their Champions League experience the other night, 1-0 winners against Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Whoever comes out on top Sunday, is that a pointer as to, right, we're going to look at you guys very closely now, whether it's City, whether it's Liverpool?
Well, we're going to look at them very closely anyway, aren't we? Because they're two top sides. I mean, there's no surprise that Man City are back amongst it. I mean, I think their performance against Bournemouth was very good. I think Bournemouth at times gave them a hard game and were brave. And then ultimately in trying to win the game, Bournemouth ceded opportunities for Man City to have lots of grass in behind them and give up opportunities to Erling Haaland that you can't give to a player of that calibre.
Yes.
If you've got the best striker in the world playing in your team and you've got the embarrassment of riches around you that you've been able to build over the years, you have every business in regaining your poise. You've got the best manager in the world. You've got one of the biggest budgets. There's nothing wrong with that. You've earned it. You've built the turnover of the business now. And you're now at a stage where all of the nonsense about what Man City have done or haven't done or where they've gotten to and how they've got there should be sort of moved away and looked at the fact that they now trade within their means. They buy and sell players. Their budgets are what they are. And so with that in mind, you have to respect that. But I don't sit there going, well, it's wonderful that Man City are back, because I hated the idea of Man City dominating the English Football League, English Premier League, more than I hated any other team to do. Who wants a Bundesliga Part 2?
Nonetheless, are they back?
Well, it depends what back means.
Well, last season we kept on saying, are they back, are they back, are they back? Now we're looking at it, as you say, Haaland, there couldn't be a more on-form striker.
The only way they're back is if they win the Premier League. And if the answer is that they're going to win the Premier League, then the answer, in my view, would be no. So then, by the definition of the standards, which means Man City are back, is no, they're not back because they're not dominating English football. And long may that continue, because who wants a Bundesliga Mark II? Who wants a replication of other European leagues that have dominant teams that you know is going to win the league every single year? Who wants that besides the individual club's fans? Of course. But are they forced to be reckoned with? Do they make it more competitive? Does the team that win the Premier League going to have to really win it? Is it going to be sauntering to the Premier League title this year? Probably not.
No. Exactly. And that goes for Champions League as well. It's going to be a special team that wins the Champions League. That is for sure. Because last season, Manchester City scraped through the Champions League playoffs after finishing 22nd in the league with 11 points. Can you believe that? They're looking good. Certainly on the evidence of last night, that is for sure. It's Jim White and Simon Jordan live on talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes. As I keep on saying, we're into November now. Very soon we'll be into December. And December, what does that month bring, Simon? The World Cup draw. All of a sudden, after we turn the corner of the new year, the World Cup comes more and more into focus. Indeed. England are there, others trying to get there. Who's going to be drawn against who? Well, all will be revealed when that draw is made. All attention will be in that part of the world in terms of world football and who's going to face who. In the meantime, a major talking point has come along because FIFA has created its own Peace Prize, which looks to be awarded to Donald Trump before next month's World Cup draw. Trump, as we know, coveted the Nobel Peace Prize last month, and that was a move that was front and centre backed by the FIFA president, Gianni Infantino. Trump was said to be angry that he wasn't awarded that Peace Prize last month after his Israel-Gaza peace deal. It went to a Venezuelan lady for the work she does, a lady by the name of Maria Corina Machado. But indeed, FIFA President Gianni Infantino, seen by some as Trump's local acolyte, said at the time that the US president should have received the honour. So if you didn't get that one, how about this one? This one that FIFA has got ready in the oven right now. What about this, Simon? On the sycophancy meter, where would FIFA awarding their own Peace Prize to Trump actually land?
Well, I mean, the idea that he could have been awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, given the fact that the nominations earlier in the year, was always a flawed media creation in the first place. He wasn't ever going to be nominated. He probably didn't expect it to be, because the nominations are put in January, aren't they, or earlier on in the year?
He expected to win it.
No, he did.
Yes, he did.
That's media hyperbole.
No, it's not.
And it is. But going to the question in hand, look, FIFA are a law unto themselves. Are we really offended by what they do? Is it really that big a deal? It is sycophancy. Is it been engineered to give Trump an award? Is it something they feel that they're going to do, and it happens to be the first recipient is Trump? Does football need to be in that space? Why does it need to be in that space? How powerful is football? You know, I'm always in the situation where I'm arguing against the idea that football should keep its beak out of things that it doesn't really understand or doesn't really want to commit to. We've seen that. We saw the situation at Wembley when they lit up the stadium for the Ukraine conflict, but they didn't want to touch the situation a lot post October the 7th because they knew that there would be blowback and there'd be some resistance to it, so they didn't do that. And people were suggesting they didn't do that. They get involved in things that they can't follow through on. So it's always my view they should stick out of it and stay out of it, players included.
Yeah.
Because the consequences of it are that you're doing the hokey cokey, you dip your left foot and your left foot out, you don't really know what you're doing. And in this situation, but football is a very powerful product now, and it is being utilised. My desire is always to keep politics out of sport as much as I possibly can.
So there you go. This is nonsense, isn't it?
But that's my desire. That's my wish. And I'm King Canute in that, because that ship has sailed. I don't think it should be encouraged. I don't think it should be patronised. I don't think it should be supported. But it's happening. That's why nation states are being allowed to buy sports environments, to buy British football clubs, to invest in golf tournaments, to be able to create influence, to do a whole raft of different things.
But why should it be happening, Simon? Why shouldn't they just stick to football? Because that's what you want them to do.
Well, of course I do. But because football...
So why shouldn't they just do that?
Because power corrupts, and power is utilisable in a whole raft of ways.
So is Infantino corrupted by Trump?
I think he's... corruption is probably the wrong word, because there's no indication of inappropriate behaviour. I think he's influenced by, or drunk on it, and the fact that he is in a position of great influence in his mind. And of course, the World Cup is a great big spectacle. It's coming to America. And like everything in America, it would be Super Size Me. So with that, it comes with an opportunity to be front and centre. And FIFA as an organisation, let's be honest about it, there is no sport around the world that's more of influence than football. There is no sport around the world that's being used to shift the tectonic plates of people's perceptions of countries and businesses and a whole raft of things. So with that comes the fact that we know that deals are being done and things are being created by people being in rooms that wouldn't necessarily be in rooms together because they now own sports clubs. We've seen
it. That though, Simon. But how much of a head scratcher will this be if Trump gets his hands on this trophy?
It's pitiful, isn't it?
I mean, FIFA say the prize will be awarded annually to those who, quote, through their unwavering commitment and their special actions have helped to unite people all over the world in peace and consequently deserve a special and unique recognition.
But it's pitiful, isn't it?
Step up the Donald. Really? Has he not got his ICE agents dragging people off streets?
Well, that's a different discussion. That's a different...
We're talking peace award.
Yeah, but we're talking about
unity.
World peace.
Unity all over the world.
What the policy that he was elected...
He stops wars, apparently.
What the policy that he was elected on into government is different discussion to what he's trying to do, or in part has half achieved in the situation and the conflict in Gaza. What he's trying to do, however successful he may not be, everybody knows that the key component to negating these challenges is America and Trump. And Trump's attitude to wanting to do it is in part something to be commended.
I agree with you, Simon, totally, but why should FIFA dip its toe into that?
Correct. There's the argument.
Yeah.
How pitiful and how delusions of grandeur do football people have that they sit there thinking that anybody gives a damn about whether FIFA decide they're going to give a peace award. If they wanted to give it for wonderful contribution to sport and meaningful things, where you look around countries in the world and you see people that are creating youth academies in underinvested countries and making sure that young people are being given an opportunity, then by all means, those sort of things are valuable.
Yeah.
If you start coming out of your lane, and I don't want to be a sort of a football person or a sports person that says the only people who can comment on sport are sports people, or the only people who can talk about politics are politicians, because that's cobblers. But there is an element of how delusional do you want to be to your own importance. I would be embarrassed to receive an award from a football operation because I would think it was meaningless.
Yeah.
Your job is to manage football.
Yeah.
Now the question is here: do we want to frame it as sycophancy? Was this already in the offing? Well, are they going to do it as a matter of course? And is it, if they were going to do it as a matter of course, is it simply the timing that Trump's done something meaningful, makes him the candidate, and ultimately steers into the narrative that we think that Gianni Infantino, we can't see where his head ends up as far up Trump's backside, all we can see is his feet hanging out.
It should, surely because the competition is...
But coincidentally, Trump has done meaningful things.
Yeah, no, but FIFA doesn't need to recognise that.
It doesn't need to have an award. But if we accept the principles,
that's what the Nobel Peace Prize
think it's
for.
Crap, right?
And he didn't win that.
But let's ignore the fact that we think it's crap and say, okay, they're going to do this anyway. Is Trump a legitimate winner of the crap award? If he is, then we should pack it in and say, well, it is what it is, isn't it? Up you go, then Gianni, give it to him, and then we can all sit there and applaud.
Exactly. Suddenly you're feeling better, aren't you? 11 o'clock, a lot to get through between now and 1. Thanks for all the messages that come in. Loving it. Your involvement in this show is everything to us. It's 11 o'clock. We're live in talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes.
The Lions. Real-life fantasy rugby. Bitter rivalries set aside in a quest to create the world's best team in weeks. There's nothing like it, but who on earth had the idea and how did it all begin? Incredibly, the first Lions tour was organised and funded by three men who played in England's first ever Test cricket match. Opening bowler Alfred Shaw, opening batsman Arthur Shrewsbury and captain James Lillywhite. The 1888 Lions squad then, made up of 17 English, 4 Scots and 1 Welshman and a Northern Irishman, took a 46-day boat trip to New Zealand before heading to Australia. The Lions weren't alone on the boat. Also on board were 300 stoats and weasels who were brought over to eliminate New Zealand's rabbit problem. The first ever Lions captain, Robert Seddon, died of drowning midway through the tour while sculling on a river. Andrew Stoddart, who was another of the cricketers there, took over and was the star of the tour. The next one was the first to get official recognition from the RFU against the newly formed Springboks. Although the Lions won the series and beat the Boks again 5 years later, in the 12 series since in South Africa, they've only won 2. New Zealand has proved an even tougher hunting ground, just the 1 series win for the Lions in 11 attempts, which came in 1971. And then there was that nail-shredding drawn series in 2017, only the second in Lions history. Only once have the Lions clinched a series after losing the first test, 1989, when David Campese's infamous ghost pass was pounced upon by Ian Evans. Before World War II, the Lions had a dark blue strip, which on the 1930 tour forced the All Blacks to play in all white. So in 1950, the iconic red shirts, white shorts and blue and green socks combination was born. It remains the symbol of the greatest alliance of adversaries in all of sport. To borrow the phrase from Jim Telfer, the Lions is Everest.
Good morning, everybody. It's 5 minutes past 11 o'clock. This is Thursday, November the 6th. It's Jim White and it's Simon Jordan, and we are live on talkSPORT. So many messages coming in praise of Mr. Jordan, who tells us he's not 100% fit this morning. Well, as far as you gather and as far as you're aware, he's his usual self, and I would vouch for that. Another big night in Europe, Europa League tonight. Celtic for one in action. They're over in Denmark up against FC Midtjylland, and Celtic interim boss Martin O'Neill in charge for that one. We shall head in that direction very shortly, and we'll hear from Celtic superfan Sir Rod Stewart, no less. But Simon, you might remember, and the listeners and the viewers might remember, that on Tuesday we brought you quite an emotional interview with Nottingham Forest fan Stephen Crane, who, after attending the Forest game against Manchester United at the weekend, was caught up in the Huntingdon train stabbing attack on his journey back here down to London. Well, Stephen joined the show in a story of true bravery as he confronted the attacker on the train.
You know what? I don't think I had much time to think to it. It's just a force of action. It's a natural reaction to protect who I'm with, or my family, my friends, or even strangers to a degree. If they're in trouble. If someone's in trouble, I'll always be there, you know. It's just in my blood. It's my family, and it's just my upbringing. That's the way I am. I'll always be like that. Yeah, of course, you're scared for a little bit, but I think it goes away. You get confident. You think, I'm in the right here. I ain't done nothing wrong. It's him. You know, I know if Mum and Dad were alive, they'd be proud of me. I know that. That's it, you know. I couldn't go back the other way. I'm not, you know, if I go back away from it, he gets in that door, then it's going to be it's going to be slicing everyone up. So he's not getting past me. That's it. As simple as that.
Well, he made us all stop to think, did Stephen. And straight after that, Evangelos Marinakis said that any Forest fan caught up on that the club will financially support and that the club will make a donation to any Just Giving page. And true to his word and true to Forest's word, he and Nottingham Forest have made a £10,000 donation to the Just Giving page for Stephen Crean. As well as that, Simon, the club have offered Stephen a complimentary season ticket for next season. As well as that, they've invited him to flying with the squad to a Europa League match, stay in the team hotel, chat to the players, catch up with the officials, and watch the match with the club's delegation in the director's box.
That's good. That's nice.
I mean, your reaction was something similar. Absolutely. As soon as you heard from Stephen.
How can it not be?
I mean, what about that from Forest? I have to say.
Yeah, that's great. I also hope that the fans get to. I hope he goes to the game. I think they're playing Leeds on the weekend, aren't they? And he gets to. They put him up on a jumbotron. I know it's all. We all get caught up in emotion, but what he's done is so brave. Everyone hopes in those situations that they would be that way. Lots of people, most people wouldn't. He did. He put himself in front of huge jeopardy, mortal jeopardy, to protect other people. And these are the sort of people that we should be celebrating. These are the sort of people that we should be reminding ourselves that this Isles are full of. And I'd like to see the fact that Nottingham Forest fans are great fans, and I'd like to see them give him a standing ovation on the game if he goes there.
Yeah.
Because I think that would be lovely too for him.
Yes.
He'd get the sense, he may well get the sense now, because obviously he will have been interviewed by the media on numerous occasions over the last week. He'll have seen himself being featured in so many ways, and he'll see Forest recognising him and taking him into special environments and putting £10,000 towards the nature of perhaps whatever surgery he might have to have. He might have to have some plastic surgery, and all of that will be able to be done perhaps in a different way than going through the NHS or whatever.
Sure.
But the bottom line is that he was a hero, and he has every right to be celebrated by the people around him, including his fellow fans.
Well, Stephen, as you know, we got an enormous reaction straight after your chat with me, which we played out on Tuesday. We wish you well this morning, and we are thrilled that Marinakis and Nottingham Forest are doing what they're doing for you, and you thoroughly deserve it. Elsewhere, I mentioned that the man who usually joins us in this studio alongside Simon and myself, Martin O'Neill, is otherwise engaged at the moment because Martin is in interim charge of Celtic. Celtic in action in the Europa League tonight against SC Midtjylland over in Denmark, and Martin, of course, is over there trying to guide his team to a victory tonight in Europe. But a lot has gone on, has it not, in the last few days at Celtic, with Brendan Rodgers resigning and Martin coming in. And Celtic superfan Sir Rod Stewart spoke to me earlier, and I said to Sir Rod, well, what was your reaction, first off, to Brendan's departure?
Absolute shock and disappointment and confusion like everybody else. I still can't make out what happened. I think there was a bit of bitterness on both sides, from the board and from him as well. But he's left on a bit of a sour note. I mean, I'd love to get to the bottom of it. And he hasn't said anything yet. So until he does, we'll never know.
Certainly, Dermot Desmond, as you know, didn't miss in his statement. He said, when we brought Brendan back to Celtic 2 years ago, it was done with complete trust and belief in his ability to lead the club into a new era of sustained success. Unfortunately, his conduct and communication in recent months have not reflected that trust. He didn't hold back, Rod, did he?
No, he didn't. I think he was, and I think believed that the players were a little upset about this. I haven't got a Ferrari, I've only got a Volkswagen or whoever it was. I mean, that was a bit dumbass. But getting back to the way we beat you on Sunday, but I must admit, your boys played terrifically well. And I do think they've found the correct manager now. That was one of the best Old Firm games I've seen in 10 years, at least. Celtic played with such pace, which I haven't seen for a long time. But can't wait for the next Old Firm game, can you?
Exactly. That's what they're all about, Rod. And you're right. Martin O'Neill has come in. How would you assess his arrival back at the club so far, Rod?
I believe he's brought a bit of wisdom and common sense to the dressing room. That's what it looks like to me. Hopefully it will continue tonight. You remember we spoke on Monday and I said something about Simon. I think Simon must have got this wrong, old Noel. What I meant was age is just a number. You can't compare what I do jumping about on the stage to what Martin does jumping about on the touchline. I'm just saying age is a number. If he wants to do it and he's got the permission from his family and they don't mind him doing it, I think he'll do it. He's only 73. Alex Ferguson was 73 when he retired.
Are you amongst those Celtic fans at the moment who would wish to see Martin carry on maybe an interim charge, until the end of the season?
Till the end of the season, yeah. I would love that.
It still intrigues me to this day. I mean, when I lived up there, it was the same. Even living down here, it's the same. The old firm, they never fail to surprise us, do they? Brendan goes, back comes Martin. At Rangers, it looked like incoming was Steven Gerrard for a second time. Then it was going to be Kevin Muscat, and now it's Danny Roll. At times, some fans must stand back and scratch their heads.
We both love Scottish football. May not be the greatest in the world, but we love it. And I think that all adds to the drama. It's a madness, absolute madness. How many managers have Rangers had in the last few years? I actually love it, mate. I think the drama, it's like a Shakespeare play. It's wonderful.
Rod, in amongst all of this, though, there is a significant matter of Hearts. A 9-point lead over Celtic. Do you think Hearts can be pegged back? Is there enough time?
Yeah, there is enough time, and all respects, they're playing out of their skin. Shankland's just got capped for Scotland or called back into the squad, which is wonderful for him. It's a long season. They could have a couple of injuries. It could all go sour. But, if they win it, good luck. Better them than Rangers.
Well, you know what kind of reaction that will get if Hearts end up winning it. But you're right, Rod. A lot of people knock Scottish football. Simon is one of them. Hearts lead the way at the top of the Scottish Premiership. Celtic have Martin back in interim charge. Who's to say that Hibs don't have a strong run from this point onwards to Christmas? Rangers need one. There's so many great stories.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought with all due respect once again to Hearts, I thought they were a little bit lucky against Hibs in scoring that goal in the last couple of minutes. And I thought Hibs put in a good show. They're a little irregular at the moment, Hibs. So they've got to sort that out. But I think it's really exciting. I love it. I love the challenge.
Listen, you said it moments ago, age is just a number. I'm 68 now. I know you're 80.
God.
You're in great nick, mate. Are you not?
Well, I say that, and I might go get knocked down by a 93 bus. But, I think I am. I do work at it. I do a lot of sprinting, a lot of swimming, and I have to for my job. I think Frank Sinatra once told me. He said, "Do a lot of underwater swimming. Go and swim the length of the bath, the pool, and hold your breath. It'll improve your vocals." And I keep doing that.
Listen, you and my colleague, Mr. Simon Jordan, who you call Old Know-It-All. Know-All. And he says a swipe at you. You're a plastic jock in his eyes, Sir Rod. Yeah, it's not too late to patch all this up, is it?
No, he's okay. We're big grown men. We've got to be able to take the mickey out of each other. Just tell him we can't all be Rob Roy, can we?
There you go.
The old plastic jock.
He just come out of an ice bath to do the chat.
As I told him, he's my mother's favourite pop star, so I'm very happy for him.
You and Sir Rod, I think there's a road show there. I think there's a night in the Palladium.
He's very passionate. Listen, he loves his football club. He loves watching Scottish football. He disagrees with me on certain things.
Yeah.
He thinks that I target Scottish football. I don't. I'm asked a question, I answer it. And what he said, 90% of what he said there, I would agree with.
Yeah.
And I do think there's a possibility, and I'd like to see it from Martin O'Neill, that he is there for the rest of the season.
Would you?
Yeah. I mean, we're very fond of Martin. We like having him in the studio, but he wants to football manage. And he said it on a number of occasions. He wanted an opportunity, and he kept on saying, I'm in the Rod Stewart camp. Age is just a number. If you're fit and focused and you look after yourself, one of the things that most people don't have is the benefit of wisdom, and age gives you that. And it gives you experience and calmness and a balanced view on things. And what Rod said was about wisdom being brought into the football club.
Yeah.
Well, he's probably right.
Yeah.
And I hope that Martin gets the opportunity to stay as long as Martin wants to.
Well, I mean, if Celtic win tonight in Denmark, and it's a tough order,
game,
right?
yeah.
Midtjylland.
Tough game, yeah.
They're no world beaters. Then they play Kilmarnock on Sunday. If he continues to win, do you think, Celtic will have no other way of saying, right, Martin, sit down. let's talk about you staying here until the end of the season.
On no other necessity. The big thing is necessity. Now, if they've got the wonderful candidates, a standout candidate they must have now for the future, for the immediate and for the future, then yes, you do that situation. But if you've got reservations and you're looking around trying to find the right candidate, and you've got somebody holding the fort and holding it well and curating an environment that someone can walk into harmony and stability, then where's the problem in that? It's a nice place to be in.
Sure. It might change if they lose tonight and lose on Sunday.
Well, it's that kind of situation. But again, I would say the thing which is most prevalent, which is if they haven't got a standout candidate, why don't they give themselves some time to breathe? And if Martin can hold it together, I personally would love, not because there's any dig at anybody in Scotland or Rod or anyone else, I would love to see Hearts win the league. Because I'd like to see a shake-up. You know, Tony Bloom would be then seen as a revolutionary because there has to be something in what he's doing and the formula and the way that he owns football clubs in terms of the recruitment processes at Brighton, the successes he's had got other football clubs like Union Gaulois, and you've got the situation surrounding Hearts now. It can't be a coincidence that when this fella gets involved in football clubs, the models he puts behind it start to breed some level of success on the field.
Yeah, Hearts going well. That is for sure. So, Rod, we thank you. How you're still going is anyone's guess, but you are, and we salute you. Now, the latest episode of the talkSPORT Daily Podcast is out now on YouTube and all podcast platforms as USA manager Mauricio Pochettino sat down for an exclusive interview with talkSPORT's Ben Jacobs. He talked about whether or not he'd ever take the England job, his ambitions of returning to the Premier League, Daniel Levy's departure from Tottenham Hotspur, and Chelsea under Enzo Maresca. That's the latest episode of the talkSPORT Daily Podcast from Ben Jacobs, who sits alongside Mauricio Pochettino. It's a cracking interview. It's available on YouTube and all podcast platforms right now. A big night in Europe tonight. Amongst the games, Sturm Graz against Nottingham Forest. That one is live in the Europa League on talkSPORT 2. Also on talkSPORT 2, Crystal Palace against Alkmaar in the Conference League. That's at 8 o'clock. And also 8 o'clock, and this one's live on talkSPORT in the Europa League. Aston Villa against Maccabi Tel Aviv. And Simon, you and I both know that game between Villa and Maccabi Tel Aviv will see no away fans present. Last month, the Safety Advisory Group, the SAG, the body responsible for issuing safety certificates for matches, informed Villa no travelling fans will be permitted at the match due to safety concerns. And then Maccabi Tel Aviv stepped in and said that they wouldn't be accepting their ticket allocation anyway. Even if there was a backlash to that initial decision, no fans will be travelling anyway. Nonetheless, it's Birmingham we head to now, and that's where we join our colleague Nick Ellaby, talkSPORT reporter. Mr. Ellaby on the spot and in position for us. Nick, good morning. I mean, there is a significant story aside from the match, as I've just explained, isn't there?
Yeah, good morning, Jim. Good morning, Simon. Unfortunately, what's happening around this game at Villa Park today has actually become a bigger story than the football itself. What we do know is that there's going to be some kind of coalition of at least 2, possibly more pro-Palestinian protests starting at around 6 p.m. In Aston Park, which is just down the road from me here at Aston Pavilion. They're starting and potentially planning to come up Trinity Road. I'm actually on Trinity Road now, right outside the Holt End at Villa Park. It's unclear how many people will be part of that protest. There have been calls online from activists and lawyers and local leaders asking for people to show solidarity for the Palestinian people, and also to repeat calls to kick Israel out of international competition. That's what they want. On the flip side, you're going to have some kind of counter-protest, potentially meeting the pro-Palestinian groups here outside the stadium. And also there's the spectre of Tommy Robinson, the founder of the English Defence League, turning up in a Maccabi Tel Aviv shirt. We know, as you mentioned, that Maccabi fans are prevented from attending here today. In terms of the policing, there are going to be 700 officers on duty outside Villa Park this afternoon. There are already significant patrols. We've been stopped a couple of times by officers just asking what we were up to and if we're okay and everything like that. Talking to the local people, they seem that, I wouldn't say worried, but they're definitely concerned that something untoward could happen. As I say, the police teams are out. There's already helicopters flying overhead. The police will have drones, will have dogs, horses as well. And they're implementing from midday today until tomorrow morning Section 60 and Section 60 AA, which basically means that police can stop and search anyone they feel they might need to, and they can also ask people to remove face coverings. Interestingly, I've just nipped around the corner to the Aston Tavern, which is a big pub where a lot of the local fans drink before the game, and also they have rooms where people can stay. And one of the ladies who works there told me they've had 5 cancellations ahead of this game, which is unusual. So you get the sense that a lot of Villa fans will be staying away from this one. There are thousands of seats at Villa Park unsold tonight. The away section is going to be completely closed rather than filled with Villa fans. And then another thing as well, I was speaking to a taxi driver this morning as we were on our way in, and he said there were some banners put up along the motorway just near the stadium here, which read "Kick Israel out of FIFA BAB," using that Birmingham colloquialism of BAB to try and get their message across to the people of Birmingham. Those have been taken down, actually, but there's certainly a sense of unease in the local community here. It's 70% Muslim in this area, and you know, the police told us they are expecting an interesting evening. Unfortunately, all of this is affecting what's going on in the football. The Maccabi Tel Aviv head coach Žarko Lesetic refused to talk about everything yesterday. He said, "I just want to focus on the football." And Maccabi chief exec Jack Angelidis, said they trust the local authorities to keep everybody safe. They said it's very sad their fans can't attend, and he also said it's sad this has become a political issue. He said the club is not a pawn in a political game. We are a football club. Maccabi playing away in Stuttgart in December and also Freiburg in January, so we'll keep an eye on what happens during those games as well.
Nick Ellaby, thank you so much for your contribution, Nick. Simon, it is a sad situation, as Nick explained there, that the match itself has become the side story as opposed to the main event.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's much better after politicising it to have the streets now with protests going left, right and centre from two sets of persuasions. You've got a Muslim community that I understand are going out in a strength of, in a march of strength. I mean, I thought they'd achieved what they wanted to achieve, which is the fact that this Jewish club couldn't have its fans there. So I'm not entirely sure what they need a march of strength for. Then you've got the reaction from maybe people that have a different view of things, or whether it's Tommy Robertson or it's people that have a stronger view or a strong view that want to march against that particular situation. So you'll have flashpoints, I suspect, as a result of an MP that used the veneer of hooliganism in football as the reasons why this football match, and there was no attempt to remove hooliganism from the equation. There was no attempt to say, well, actually, what we need to do is, can we have this club over, recognising the fact that they've caused some problems in Amsterdam, that was balanced off by people in Amsterdam that were riding around, young Muslims riding around on motorcycles, baiting the Jewish fans at the same time as the Jewish fans were behaving rather poorly as well and making awful chants about the situations in Gaza. So all of that was brought into a situation where, was there an element of, okay, let's see if we can manage this first? No. The MP concerned, Mr. Khan, made it about politics, dragged politics straight into the equation, made it politicised, then turned around and said it was about hooliganism. Well, it wasn't about hooliganism, because the default setting, if every football club in the world has an element of hooligans, what you do is you say, can I police that element? Can I get 3,000 fans in from Maccabi Tel Aviv? And can I get assurances from Maccabi Tel Aviv that they know every single one of those fans, none of them have criminal records, and they're going to be responsible for them? And do we have the prerequisite policing facilities in our country? Because I know how the SAG group works. I know how you get safety certificates on a game. I've done it. I've taken football clubs that have huge elements of hooliganism in their ranks and brought them inside football stadiums and had arguments with the SAG and the police and still managed to achieve my outcome, which is my responsibility for policing the football stadium and paying for full recovery around the stands.
So you took on the responsibility then, but West Midlands Police, Simon, classified the game as high risk, and that came following what they called a thorough assessment.
And that may well be the case, but the fact of the matter is that there are plenty of games that are considered to be high risk. It's about what you're prepared to do and how you're prepared to police. It might have been, we're not prepared to take 3,000 fans, we're only prepared to take 1,000 because we recognise the risk appropriated. We need more money for full recovery from the gates of the football stadium all the way to every travel outlet in and around the area. We need full recovery on that, and that might be hundreds of thousands of pounds. Do you want that, Aston Villa? Do you want to pay those sort of recovery costs? The fact of the matter is, without wanting to be controversial, the reasons why this game is off is because of cultural bullying, because a particular ethnicity and a particular community have decided they don't want a Jewish football club and its supporters inside their borough because of their particular belief and their support of a certain part of the argument in the Gaza situation. Well, and in England, this should not be happening.
And I know you've got a strong view on that. Nonetheless, for safety reasons alone, the decision was made not to allow any Maccabi Tel Aviv fans to travel tonight. And that is a situation that the club itself has backed and endorsed by offering no tickets to their own fans. We'll see who wins the match. Villa against Maccabi Tel Aviv. Villa Park tonight is live in talkSPORT in the Europa League from 8.
teams have got a load of crazy nicknames. Ever wondered where they came from? Some are pretty straightforward. Arsenal are the Gunners because they were founded by a group of munitions workers, and Bournemouth are the Cherries because their old stadium was built right next to a cherry orchard. Then there's Everton. They're dubbed the Toffees, but why? Well, because when the club was formed, just down the road there were 2 local toffee shops. Ipswich Town nicked their nickname off their opponents in the late 90s, Birmingham. The term Tractor Boys was chanted as a way to tease the team about their farming background, but they started using it themselves as a way to cheer on the team in victory instead. Take that, Birmingham. Let's head to Leicester, famous for more than just a red, well, orangey cheese and Jamie Vardy. Leicestershire's also the birthplace of fox hunting, hence the Foxes. Crystal Palace's nickname came from an extreme makeover. They were having a nightmare run in the 70s, and when they were relegated, their manager, Malcolm Allison, wasn't having it. I know what will make us better, he thought, a new nickname. The Strong and Deadly Eagle sounded like a pretty good bet. And there's more to that story. Brighton used Palace's nickname to inspire their own. Ooh, bird, they thought. Let's just pick a different one for us. And so, in a heated match between the two teams back in 1976, when Palace fans began chanting "Eagles, Eagles," Brighton fans had the perfect reply: "Seagulls, Seagulls." So next time the away ends chanting their crazy nickname, you'll now know exactly where it came from.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Get ready for the golden era of sports betting. Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18+gambleaware.org.
It's that time. Matt Gibson joins us from BetMGM. We're going to look at last night's action and some of the matches tonight. Matt, good morning to you. So the Champions League action last night, Matt, what stands out for you?
Yeah, morning, fellas. I think you predicted Karabag maybe a potential banana skin for Chelsea, and it proved just that. Garnacho putting them on terms to get a point. Newcastle, again, as predicted, very, very good at home, particularly in this competition. Byrne and Joe Linton winning the game for the Geordies. And I watched City Dortmund, lads, and my God, after the first 10 or 15 minutes, weren't City good? Phil Foden and captain Erling Haaland in unbelievable form. Rayan Cherki putting the game beyond reasonable doubt in injury time. Just looking at the outrights, fellas, Arsenal lead the way at 9-2. I know they've been fantastic domestically and still very good in this competition. Looking at the clubs they've only beaten Athletic Club, Atletico Madrid, Slavia Prague and Olympiacos. All sort of credit to those sides. I don't think any of those teams will be at the sharp end of this competition. If you look at Bayern in its second favourites, 5-1, they were sort of 13-2, 7-1 at the start of this week. They've beat Chelsea, all right, they beat Paphos and Bruges, and then that away win at PSG, Jim, I think is a real sort of flag in the ground for Bayern being a real competitor in this competition. And City at 8, lads, all right, they drew with Monaco, which wasn't the greatest result, but beating Dortmund and Napoli in this competition, I think City at 8 is a little bit overpriced. And the guys who I was really impressed with last year, FC Barcelona, I was tipping them up to anyone who listened to me this time last year, but God, they look ropey at the back. That high line was really exploited by Bruges last night.
Yeah.
I think for me, Jim, Bayern Munich are purring and Manchester City are overpriced at 8.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, good stuff as far as last night's concerned then, Matt. Tonight, Sturm Graz, Nottingham Forest, Europa League, live in talkSPORT 2. Villa, Maccabi Tel Aviv, we've been hearing about that for other reasons. Crystal Palace, Alkmaar, Conference League, live in talkSPORT 2. Where do you want to start?
There's plenty to go at tonight, isn't there? There's 5 British teams in action. A couple of early kickoffs. Forest go to Sturm Graz. 1-1 drew, 1 lost 1 in this competition so far. 13-20 to get the job done tonight. The other early kickoff, Midtjylland against Celtic. Martin O'Neill Celtic, nonetheless.
Yeah.
Do you think this is potentially the biggest test for his management so far? Obviously, Rangers at Hampden is a big one, but Midtjylland are 3 from 3 in this competition, sitting top of the table. So I think that'll be fairly tough. The other kickoffs, Rangers, Roma. I think Rangers have got a real job on. They sit bottom of the league as one of the four teams.
Yeah, Rangers got a tough one there. I think, to be honest, Simon, I mean, from Martin's point of view, Rangers on Sunday in the League Cup semi-final was a big test for them. The complexion of Martin's arrival would have changed somewhat if Rangers had won that. But this is still a big test tonight, and I think they come through it.
Well, he talked about it previously about their performance against Forest and how they were more physical and their physicality determined some of the outcome against Forest in that game. I think that they can get a result of any description that's not a loss.
Yes.
I think that will be a positive.
Agreed.
There's a distinct possibility they can get a point out of this game. I think it's a stretch to see them beating them.
Yeah.
But I think they'll get a point out of it.
What about Simon's old club, Crystal Palace, against AZ Alkmaar? Conference League, we know the story. It should have been Europa League, but it's not. Live in TalkSPORT 2.
We've not discussed that it should have been Europa League that much, have we? No one's mentioned that on the on the course too much. No, they are 21-50.
Yeah.
To be at Alkmaar tonight, 33-10, still favourites despite the disappointing result last time out in this competition to win the whole thing. Just if you want the five-fold British teams tonight, Jim, Forest, Celtic, Rangers, Villa, and Palace all to win. I know I come on and give some short price favourites here, but that five-fold is 40-1. So maybe a couple of quid on that for a little bit of sport tonight might be a goer.
The five-fold, that's a five-fold. Did that include Celtic and Rangers? Did it?
Yeah, Forest, Celtic, Rangers, Villa, Palace coming out at about 40s.
Can't see it. But anyway, in the world of cricket, the Ashes gets underway in 2 weeks. What are you thinking?
Yeah, we are. I think when we come on air in 2 weeks on Friday, I think it'll just be finishing. So I've seen the Western Australian press have already been getting stuck into the England team and what do they call him? Cocky captain complainer Ben Stokes or something like that. An early look at the prices, gents, for the series. Australia odds on at 11-20, England 9-4, the draw 15-2. There was a bit of a debate in our virtual office this morning, fellas. You've got Ollie Pope, who's been number 3 for England for quite a while, but he's had the vice captaincy taken off him because we're not so sure about his form. He's played 61 tests, averages 35. His record versus Australia is averaging 15. His record in Australia is averaging 11. Do they put the young lad, Jacob Bethel? He's only played 4 test matches. He's 23. He's fearless. He tries to hit it out the stands. He probably matches the Baz Ball identity.
Stick him in.
Did he throw him in first test?
Absolutely. You want runs, Simon, don't you, if you're going to beat this lot?
Depends on the character makeup of this kid. I mean, he's fearless. He's got that disposition. But what you don't want to do is you don't want to put him in an environment that takes away some of the confidence if he doesn't get the outcomes that people expect to get from him.
Yeah.
So it's a balancing act. I mean, I think McCallum's brave, isn't he?
Yeah.
He plays a brand of cricket that is brave, so it's got bravery all written all over it.
You love the Ashes, don't you?
I do.
You'd love England.
I love sticking it up the Australians.
Yes, in the nicest possible way. Matt, thank you very much indeed. Visit betmgm.co.uk, download the app. 18 plus, be gamble aware. .org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Get things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
business briefing on talkSPORT with Tesco Mobile for Business. This November, sign up to get a £60 welcome bonus. Offer ends 1st of December. Terms and verification at tescomobile.com/business.
It is indeed time for us to round up one of the big top business stories in the world of football, and we're doing that with Tesco Mobile for Business. Simon is alongside me. Nobody better to look at this. Sheffield Wednesday and Sheffield Wednesday fans, no doubt, worried about what direction the club is going to go, and you've been worried for some time, have you not, under the ownership of the Thai owner, Daifon Chansiri. The club now in administration, so where's it going and what is going to happen with his football club? There has been an administrator's statement which finished on a fairly optimistic note. Even at this early stage of proceedings, we can be positive about the initial interest in the club. There is real progress being made in the efforts to find a suitably qualified buyer and owner that can help Sheffield Wednesday move forward. So that sounds all right, doesn't it? Simon, has administration ever been met with such positivity?
Well, I mean, I've spoken about this club over the last sort of 12 months and suggested that if anyone was to buy a football club and were looking to buy a football club, irrespective of the circumstances that surround Sheffield Wednesday now, Sheffield Wednesday is one of those football clubs you should look at. So, A, the football club itself generates interest. B, I think there'll be a perception with Sheffield Wednesday that you can nick it because they'll believe that there's an opportunity to get it cheaper than perhaps the reality might find itself telling. I mean, Chansiri is an interesting problem for them, you know, in terms of I would imagine, my nose tells me there's quite significant debts in there to Chansiri, probably somewhere between 60, 80 million quid. And the interesting thing about this is the rules that govern administration, because there's a rule that says that in order to exit administration in a way that doesn't incur any further penalty, say another 15-point penalty, which could really jeopardise the club in the next season or for the next period of time, or other penalties that are potentially available, you have to pay the unsecured creditors 25%, 25p in a pound. Now, if you're Chansiri and you've put 80, 100 million quid in there, that means that the club has to be paying you, or the new club purchase has to be paying you 25 million quid or 20 million quid or 15 million quid, whatever your level of debt is. Now, when you look at that rule and you think to yourself, what is that rule about? That rule is about protecting bad ownership. It's about rewarding the fact that an owner has run it badly and is now going to get protected for 25% of his money is going to be protected. And it's also going to mean that someone coming in has got to give Chansiri money that could be going to the football club. Now, that's a rule that was put in place so that football clubs didn't go into administration, didn't come out with a clean deck, and other football clubs were disadvantaged. But it's a rule like getting, for example, the partially sighted running an optician's, because you're sitting there going, well, hang on a second, someone like Chansiri is being rewarded for bad ownership. Now, when that sort of thought process, the idea that going to the point about the optimism of the administrator, first of all, he should be optimistic because he's been brought in to make sure the football club is secured, not just for the creditor, but for the going concern going forward. Secondly, he's a Sheffield Wednesday fan, so he's going to be highly motivated about the idea. And the level of people that are interested in it, the usual suspects will probably pop out of the ether. Keith Harris will come along and make a song and dance about it and then try and backfill a deal. You'll probably get Mike Ashley being indexed to it, because they do with Mike Ashley every single time. And there'll be a bunch of other people that probably do and probably can prove up 50 million quid. And proving up 50 million quid is a vast difference to actually spending that 50 million quid. And the thing that worries me for Sheffield Wednesday is this club has been starved of any capital investment for a very long time. And I think that once people get to look at it, they're going to be questioning about the tsunami of costs that might be coming down the track, about the investment that's going to be required, not just to build a football team on the field, but to have a stadium that isn't falling down, to have a stadium that might have situations with the Leppings Lane end that might even be looking towards being condemned at some point. So you've got all of these things, and it might flush out some of the thinking, and then people might start questioning about how much money Chansiri should get paid out of this and the ramifications of it. And the interesting thing for me would be is, what does Chansiri do here now? Because nobody's going to want to give Chansiri any money. Nobody's going to want to make sure that he gets out of it with his, I had a situation with my time at Palace. And on the other side of this, I walked away with, I decided I ran out of money. That was my fault. I took risks with my money and I had lots of different businesses. So I walked away with nothing. I decided to let Palace and the 40 million quid it owed me go. So Parish and his guys got it for virtually nothing. I don't think Chansiri is going to do this. I think Chancery, if my nose is probably right, and I think it probably is, I think you'll probably see someone like Nick DeMarco popping up and starting to represent Chancery in this conversation.
Right.
And the question has to be, is how much are the rules going to help Chancery and hurt Sheffield Wednesday against potential purchasers when they see underneath the bonnet, they see what Chancery is going to try and create. This is my supposition, but I think it's reasonably educated and reasonably based upon a degree of understanding about football clubs and how to be on the right side of it and the wrong side of it. But that doesn't mean that Sheffield Wednesday are not going to be bought. They will be bought. I think Sheffield Wednesday will be secured. But the interesting thing will be is how that's going to play out.
You see, Chancery will argue, Simon, that I haven't been a bad owner. I've just run out of money.
Well, to some extent, bad ownership and running out of money.
Why should he lose out? He'll argue.
Well, some would say that the manner in which he's run the football club and the amount of money he's put into it and the amount of wastage and the lack of direction and the lack of thinking and some of the things that I think that if you look behind the scenes at the Sheffield Wednesday, you're going to be quite surprised when you see, will show that it's been bad ownership.
Really?
And
would you have started out with bad intentions? Probably not.
Nobody starts out with bad intentions. But the manner in which, when I have no dog in this fight and no desire to bash as a former owner, another owner. But when I look at the situation with Sheffield Wednesday and the construct of the EFL, and I'm not suggesting that Trevor and Rick aren't trying to do the best things for football, but this idea that bad ownership should be protected is a flawed set of thinking. Because you're taking, if you have to pay Chancery 25 million quid on the way out, that's 25 million quid that football club does not have, that football doesn't have. Yeah. That Chancery gets rewarded, a bad owner gets rewarded.
Yeah. The club needs it, and he's got it. He's getting it.
But football should want it.
Yes.
And the reasons why it isn't being put into play is because the EFL rules are based upon the other owners saying, well, hang on a second, a club comes out of administration with no debts. That disadvantaged us. But that's not the way that the ecosystem should work. You should want money coming into football. You know, and being invested in football. So as far as I see, looking at it, I think the administrator should be optimistic. The press reports are suggesting there's 7, 8, 9 people that have proved up 50 million quid. The debate will be how far, once you get under the bonnet and you start to see how people might have the bravery to challenge the EFL and say to the EFL, this rule that you've got, which says of the 25p in a pound, you know, hang on a second, is it a rule or is it guidance?
Right.
And if it's guidance, we know you've got precedence on this with Derby, but ultimately, couldn't you have a view on this? Because you really want Chancery getting paid all the money that this football club could desperately utilise into investing into the rebuilding of a football club, rather than the re-establishing of an owner getting 20, 25 million quid for bad ownership.
So scrap the rule or modify it, maybe scrap it. What can Chancery do about that if they do that?
Well, he'll fight it. But it depends.
Why doesn't he just go quietly? That's what he should do.
Because he wants the money. And you're arguing about something. I mean, if you look at probably, this is in the public domain, so people can see it for themselves. If you look at Chancery's debt, there are two kinds of it. There's 60-odd million quid that he thinks he's owed in one respect and another significant amount in another respect. And he's going to fight for it. And it's only the governance of the game that will either allow that to acquiesce. The administrator's got a difficult job because his job is to make sure that the creditors are paid.
Right.
There'll be secured creditors in there like HMRC. There'll be secured creditors in there like players. There'll be other secured creditors. I think the stadium's got a charge against it. But that creates an opportunity in its own right. But I think there's cause to be optimistic about it. I think there will be an outcome. I think there's some serious people in it alongside some tyre kickers. And the administrator's got his work cut out.
Right. Well, what we do know is that this January will mark 11 years on from the time that Chancery purchased the football club from Milan Mandaric, a man that you and I both know, or both knew.
Yeah, I knew.
And he bought it for a reported 30 million quid. What kind of figure is it going to go for now?
Again,
that's the bottom line.
Well, what do I think it should go for?
Well, if you assume Chancery's...
Well, if I were buying it, what would I want to pay for it?
Right.
As little as possible, and I'd want to give Chancery as little as I possibly could. But I also don't want to make the administrator's job very difficult if I were buying it. I would suspect if you can work hard with the EFL and work hard with the administrator and work hard with the idea of being robust with Chancery and take some views on what he may or may not do post the completion of an administration, all in 30 million quid with the stadium. But that's the beginning of the conversation.
It's what you find once you get in there.
Well, I think you're going to know what you find when you go in there, which is a stadium, because it's a matter of public record. A stadium that needs some significant investment. But what you've got is a community, a football club that has huge potential. If you actually look at Sheffield Wednesday, despite the fact they've got huge potential, their digital footprint is nowhere near, funnily enough, what Sheffield United is. That's because Sheffield United have been in the Premier League. That's because, again, I looked at a comparison the other day with Stoke, not in the Championship.
Yeah.
And you look at their digital footprint, it's in the millions, where Sheffield Wednesday isn't. But Sheffield Wednesday is definitely a bigger football club with definitely bigger potential and definitely bigger opportunities. But you're going to have to work it. It's going to be a League One football club next year. You're going to have to work it. And I would suggest the model that you want to look at is what Ipswich managed to achieve, which is not too much money being poured into, building a football club that needs a bit of sustainability with a bit of ambition attached to it. The fan base want people to lead them. They want somebody that can take that football club forward, is my view.
Yeah.
But they also want a football club that's successful. So you've got to balance that. You've got to balance that. And it's about who the ownership model is going to be. Of course, everyone will scream for the next Middle Eastern owner or the next American owner. In an ideal world, it might be nice to have an owner that might have come from that part of the world.
Do you think it gets tied up this side of the new year?
If you look at what the administrator says, he's pulled the cash forward. So he's got cash flow until March of this year. From his point of view, he will want to get his X amount of hundreds of thousands or millions of administration fees as quickly as possible. So I don't think there's any reason why it couldn't be, but the battleground will be Chancery.
Okay. Simon, thanks very much indeed. That was a roundup of the top business story, and we wanted to try and clarify things for all Sheffield Wednesday fans listening, as you do in big numbers. And we did that with Tesco Mobile for Business.
Business briefing on talkSPORT with Tesco Mobile for Business. This November, sign up to get a £60 welcome bonus. Offer ends 1st of December. Terms and verification at tescomobile.com/business.
The Lions. Real-life fantasy rugby. Bitter rivalries set aside in a quest to create the world's best team in weeks. There's nothing like it, but who on earth had the idea and how did it all begin? Incredibly, the first Lions tour was organised and funded by three men who played in England's first ever Test cricket match: opening bowler Alfred Shaw, opening batsman Arthur Shrewsbury and captain James Lillywhite. The 1888 Lions squad, then made up of 17 English, 4 Scots and 1 Welshman and a Northern Irishman, took a 46-day boat trip to New Zealand before heading to Australia. The Lions weren't alone on the boat. Also on board were 300 stoats and weasels, who were brought over to eliminate New Zealand's rabbit problem. The first ever Lions captain, Robert Seddon, died of drowning midway through the tour while sculling on a river. Andrew Stoddart, who was another of the cricketers there, took over and was the star of the tour. The next one was the first to get official recognition from the RFU against the newly formed Springboks. Although the Lions won the series and beat the Boks again 5 years later, in the 12 series since in South Africa, they've only won 2. New Zealand has proved an even tougher hunting ground, just the 1 series win for the Lions in 11 attempts, which came in 1971. And then there was that nail-shredding drawn series in 2017, only the second in Lions history. Only once have the Lions clinched a series after losing the first test, 1989, when David Campese's infamous ghost pass was pounced upon by Ian Evans. Before World War II, the Lions had a dark blue strip, which on the 1930 tour forced the All Blacks to play in all white. So in 1950, the iconic red shirts, white shorts and blue and green socks combination was born. It remains the symbol of the greatest alliance of adversaries in all of sport. To borrow the phrase from Jim Telfer, the Lions is Everest.
It is that time. And to mark the occasion, Spencer and I decided to engage in a bit of shadow boxing there. Spencer Oliver in studio with us, talkSPORT fight pundit, that and many other things, and so much to get through in this final hour. Incidentally, many Sheffield Wednesday fans getting in touch wanted me to thank Simon for putting a bit more meat in the bones, giving them a better understanding of where things are at regarding your football club, because a lot of concern out there, and we totally understand why, as the club is in administration at this stage. So Simon, thanking you for your words on that. Spencer Oliver, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Jim. Simon.
Nice to see you, Spence. I lied, can't
These two have locked horns earlier in the week, have they not? On Top Boxing. 1 week away from Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn, the rematch at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We know what Simon thinks, we know what Spencer thinks, we know what I think, but nobody's bothered what I think. It's what those in the know think. And I think Spencer thinks that Simon thinks is going to be the same again. Eminently missable, but I don't think it will be. Did you follow that? They had a bit of a face-off, Eubank Jr. and Ben again on the zone. Here's a taster.
I wanted to push on for world titles, Chris. So really, I'm delaying my world title.
We want to delay.
But I want to get a world title, one like you.
We want to obstruct.
I want to get a world title, one like you. So my next bout,
people don't get what
next bout, Chris, is scheduled at 147. Just to let you know, just in case you're confused whether I'm a 160, 154. It's scheduled at 147.
We're doing the weight talk again.
No, I'm just letting you know, Chris.
Oh, look at me, I've got a jump.
No.
You haven't been a work weight for 4 years.
Listen, your last 4 fights were at 160. Didn't see you wrapped up in a kit for any of them promos or documents, did you?
Listen, the way I lose weight is the way I lose weight.
Oh, then it's unprofessional because I'm driving in a brand new roller because of it. So thank you. Hope you do it again. Hope you do it again. I'll buy another one. In fact, I'll buy your plate off you. I'll buy your plate off you and stick Eubank on there as well.
When you have a sabotaged weigh-in.
Oh, shut
up. More of the same, or is it, Spencer? We're a matter of days away now. Does this feel as hot second time around?
Well, it's not really kicked off yet, if I'm totally honest. I think we're going to get all the noise this week for sure. It's sort of that face-offs kicked off from where it left off. You know, they're both trying to play mind games. Conor Benn does genuinely come off second best against Chris Eubank, who's a master at doing that. And, it'd be interesting to see how the week unfolds, but expect dramas for sure.
The messages coming in, actually, and I'm looking at some of them, Simon. Would you believe it? There's now a bit of support for you regarding this fight.
People have seen
maybe no longer must watch, must listen. I personally think that it is must watch, and I would do my very best to try and get there again. But there is Peter. I totally agree with Mr. Jordan. This fight is less about boxing and more about box office. It's too nostalgia filled. I mean, having said that, is it not a credit to these two that after what they produced in April, all the focus and discussion so far is on them this time around and not on their dads?
Is it? Is there any? I mean, ultimately, I'm not focused on it in the slightest.
I think it is.
I mean, the background noise is the background noise. I mean, we've turned it into an argument about whether Chris Eubank could get an ambulance out of a stadium, and it was apparently Eddie Hearn's fault. So that's the current controversy in this conversation. Other than that, it's repeat, rinse, and just have the same conversation they had 3 months ago. The only thing is Conor's a bit more composed, a bit more balanced. I think actually Conor holds himself quite well in these conversations because he's got more substance behind some of the things he said. Some of the things he said last time were quite cruel, but about the fact you've had a wonderful achievement. Your own father doesn't even like you, and some of those sort of things were very barbed and very pointed. But in the school of trash talking, Chris is very good at taking people into a space where he makes them uncomfortable and creates noise around himself. And Conor now is more adept in these press conferences of being able to control his emotions and give people what they want. If you like these sort of things,
yes, I know,
then this has relevance.
Who's under more pressure this time around,
Chris,
do you think?
Well, yeah, I think that Chris is under more pressure because he has
he's 1-0 up.
Yeah, but he has to deliver, and I think that, I personally think that he will deliver. I think that Chris Eubank Jr. is brilliant at selling these fights. You can't take that away from him. That is the narrative he's gone down here with the ambulance being blocked. We know that Eddie Hearn wouldn't have control over that, otherwise boxing would be put into disrepute. Like, it's down to the stadium who controls, the exits in and out of the stadium.
There's a question, isn't there, Spence? I mean, one of the things that Chris Eubank does raise, and we should be thinking about it, is about the jeopardy that fighters put themselves into. Are the facilities where they should be? Because we asked Robert Smith yesterday about are your rules fit for purpose? But he's marking his own homework. By what standard are they fit for purpose? And do we need to make sure that when fighters are fighting at weights that people are potentially suggesting they shouldn't be fighting at, and also when fighters are having rehydration clauses in there that are now no longer in there, should these things be going on? Should the safety of a boxer be more prevalent than the economics of what they can wring out of a fight? Because somewhere along the line there was going to be a challenge, and there should be a study done about fighters fighting at weights that they shouldn't be fighting at, or fighting at weights that they're not natural at, and look at the idea behind it to say, is this keeping this sport safe? Are we keeping people safe in it? Because that's not coming into the conversation.
Well, you fought Spencer. We didn't. And you heard what Eubank said. And for those who don't know, after the first fight, Eubank popped out on social media. This is footage of my ambulance being blocked from leaving the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and my team shouting at security to open the gate. And he pointed the finger at Eddie Hearn, amongst others. Eddie Hearn told everyone, I lied about this, but the truth is it happened. And we have to make sure that situations like that don't ever happen again. Robert Smith, as Simon rightly says, of the British Boxing Board of Control, came in from a bit of finger pointing from Eubank Jr. as well. And Robert Smith on this show bit back.
Well, I think, as I've said before, and as you already indicated, there is legal claims going on at the present time, and I can't go too deeply into what we're doing and what he said, etc., which is unfortunate because I'd like to. However, I can tell you that before any tournament, we have a security, certainly at a big venue, we have a security meeting that takes place to deal with all these issues. That did take place in that tournament. We obviously investigated any issues that happen on an evening. We have done that, and we've had further meetings with the venue, etc. And I'm satisfied now that we have in place all procedures to make sure a boxer is looked after the best we possibly can in a safe environment.
Since then, Eubank Jr. has taken to social media and seems to have backpedaled somewhat from his first accusatory stance, if you like, Spencer, saying that I'm not playing the victim, I'm not looking for sympathy, and did seem to backpedal on it. You heard Robert Smith. Where is it now?
Well, it's probably because he's worried about getting sued again. The guy keeps getting sued, for everything that he says. Look, if I was Chris Eubank Jr., I would be very upset that because there was no clear exit from the stadium. And whose responsibility is that? Well, they're all sort of passing the buck. Eddie Hearn saying it's not our responsibility, it's the stadium's responsibility. The British Boxing Board of Control is saying it's not to do with us. Well, it's to do with someone. And if you're in Chris Eubank Jr.'s situation, which he was, and he was severely dehydrated and he was in a bad way, that exit was not clear. So I understand where Chris Eubank Jr. is coming from, for sure.
There's the moment right there. If you're watching at the moment on YouTube, you can see exactly what Eubank Jr. was talking about. Simon, you look at it. You think of it. Did Eubank Jr. have a case, or is he blown it out of all proportion?
I don't think he's rowing back from anything. I don't think he's appeasing anybody. I think he's making sure that people don't think he's a victim. He's not stepped back from his observations that he made to Eddie Hearn that he holds him responsible. Where the question is did he have a delay? And why did he have a delay? Where Chris Eubank has gone with it is, I have a delay because of you, Eddie Hearn. Now, he can't make that claim. He can make a claim that he had a delay, and where he'll get himself smacked is by accusing somebody of something that he cannot accuse them of. If Eddie Hearn deliberately stopped him from leaving the stadium, then he has a case, but I guarantee you that he wouldn't have done. But the environment itself, was it fit for purpose? Robert Smith says yes. If an ambulance is delayed taking a fighter out of an environment and in a stadium that we've had a situation 38 years previous with his father, Michael Watson, ironically. So with due respect to Robert Smith's claims the other day, that ambulance couldn't get out. Now, it's Tottenham's responsibility to provide the environment, to provide the facilitation of exits. But in a boxing environment, it's very different than a football environment, because there's a distinct possibility that a boxer's going to need to get out of that stadium in an ambulance pretty quick. The other side, I would say, before I let Spencer jump in, is we've got to stop allowing Eubank to milk the sympathy vote, because he's the one that is allowing a £1 million clause to be in his contract that doesn't allow him to rehydrate. So you can't have it both ways. You can't say you're dehydrated and then say that I'm in jeopardy when you are the one that putting yourself in that position.
What he's saying, Spencer, is in his second statement, Eubank Jr. is saying, I'm shining a light in the situation to make sure that if I end up looking like this again on November the 15th, after another dogfight, that I'm simply taken to hospital as quickly as possible, and that's all.
Yeah, Jim, I think the reason that Eubank Jr. has gone after Eddie Hearn, because Eddie Hearn was the promoter of the show, and he's saying, listen, I was in a situation there, it was a matter of literally life or death, where they needed to get me to the hospital as quick as possible, and that exit wasn't there. So he's gone after the guy that put on the show. Eddie Hearn rightly's come back and said, nothing to do with us. We don't control who's going on, the security, the exits, etc., etc. We're putting on the show. But you can understand where Eubank Jr. went from, where he's gone straight for the promoter because it's the promoter's show.
But he's also, the question is, was it fit for purpose? And my argument would begin to be probably not. So that other people have got to start taking consideration about it. The argument that it's Eddie Hearn's fault, well, he's the promoter of note, so he has to take some responsibility for it because he's put his name above the door. The real issue, the real reason, let's get it right. This is a story and it sells a fight. It's a narrative. It creates an outcome.
Yeah, it's also a fact, Simon, that these things did happen.
I don't dispute it, but what's the motivation behind it? My belief, the motivation behind it, with due respect to Chris Eubank, is not to make a point about how near to death he was, because he chose to go down that pathway with respect by not taking the rehydration clause that penalised him by £1 million. But the fact is, it's about selling a fight. It's about, I believe, behind this is, are we selling enough tickets? How do we get a noise about this? Because we can't rehash the same thing. We can't bring my dad up again because we've already done all that.
We'll get used to it, because the build-up to the fight, which is days away now, is going to include an awful lot more in terms of some antagonising statements, no doubt, from Eubank Jr. towards Ben and Ben towards Eubank Jr. We'll see what direction it goes in. It's live in talkSPORT, that's what I know, and it's coming your way soon. So are we, but we're live. This Thursday lunchtime, courtesy of Celtic, where the trade goes.
Boxing updates on talkSPORT with DAZN, the global home of boxing. Sign up now at dazn.com/boxing.
Well, this Saturday, the WBC interim £154 title is on the line in Texas as undefeated KO machine Virgil Ortiz Jr. faces off with a counter-punching technician Erickson Lubin. Watch it live Saturday only on DAZN. We are live this Thursday lunchtime at 12:20. It's Jim White, it's Simon Jordan, and it's Spencer Oliver. And we are live in talkSPORT, live on your telly as well, even Prime Video, wherever you want to watch us. We are there for you right now. But 3 is about to become 4 because as we're having this conversation about Eubank Jr. Ben 2, we may as well include this fella. And why shouldn't we? Because Liam Smith had 2 fights with Eubank Jr. He won the first by stoppage and lost the second bout. I wonder what he thinks now. Liam, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? How are you? You okay, lads? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Liam. What are your thoughts on this Eubank Ben story? Regards the first fight, we saw that Chris Eubank Jr. got the nod. What do you expect to see second time around in the same venue, the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, Liam?
First fight was a better fight than I kind of expected. I expected Chris to win the first fight, but I thought Conor performed better than I expected. The rematch, I think I probably fancy Conor a little bit more than I did the first fight, and I probably, you asked me now to put my money where my mouth is, I probably think Conor might win this one.
Well, Liam, you know how much it is a struggle. As you get older, you know the struggles of making weight, and if you miss it marginally, it affects the performance. And I think that Chris Eubank Jr. in that last fight clearly missed the weight, and that would have affected his performance. So you go, when you're looking at that, was that Conor Bennett his best and Eubank Jr. at his worst? Or do you feel that it's just he's at that age where he may be declining? Because if he gets the weight right, as you know, you're a fighter that's made weight before. If he gets the weight right, that performance he could excel in this fight.
It could, and both your points are correct, Spencer. But like, I do think he looks better this time round in camp. I think the sparring partners I've seen pictured with, I think he has took this one a lot more serious than he did take the last one, as in Eubank Jr. But yes, in my opinion, I think he, one fight away from being done. I think as balance as not what it was, and we've seen a lot of that in the first fight. He didn't really look, solid on his feet. I think he was buzzed a few times, but so my opinion is I bring Conor Bennett to it a lot more this time round because of what I think on Chris Eubank Jr. I think he's only 1 or 2 fights away from being done, but the point is correct. We failed weight last time round. The rehydration clause saga also. I'm still not 100% sure on what's going to happen this time. Ben Shalom and that are saying the rehydration clause not agreed yet and stuff like that. Eddie Hearn saying it was all agreed beforehand. So, I'm not sure. It'll be an interesting fight week again, a little bit like the last one was.
Liam, I mean, your brother Paul, who actually does turn up for Talk Boxing, unlike you, got to get that one in. He's of the same mindset as you about Conor. But in your mind, does Conor have the technical ability to be able to make the impact on Chris Eubank?
You know what, Sam? Yes, only because I don't think Chris Eubank's the most technically correct fighter. Also, I know he's a bigger man and fought his whole career at 160, but I don't think Chris Eubank is as technically good and technically correct to counter Conor Benn's mistakes and exploit Conor Benn's mistakes. So that's where I do think you're correct in what you're saying. And if we analyse Conor, he was not the most talented fighter. He hadn't had any great wins, hadn't beat any top names for us to say, wow. I always said last time, it's crazy how Conor Benn's career has gone because he's a huge name, a huge draw, and a huge money fight now for anyone fighting him. Yet he hasn't won a British title. He hasn't fought or beat anyone of note. Chris Algieri, Sebastian Formella, who they bang on about. But when you analyse himself, ability-wise and technical-wise, he was never ever great. But I also don't think Chris Eubank Jr. is.
Do you know, Chris Eubank Jr. is very disciplined, though. We have seen that in the past where he can stick to the game plan. Conor Benn is a very emotional kid, and I think that comes out when he boxes as well. And do you think that emotions could play a part in this as well? Because clearly the emotions played a part in the first fight, and he was standing there at times just swinging away, and maybe because of the emotions. If he gets those emotions in check, then yeah, it could be a different fight. But do you think that he has the capability of doing that?
No, I don't. And I think we're going to get along the lines of the same fight as last time, whether it's as good and as competitive as last time. I think we're going to get the same type fight. Let's have it right. It didn't start off a war. Conor was very, very explosive early, and Chris was not really wanting to engage early. And then, after 6, Chris put his foot to the pedal and stood and had a fight with Conor. Conor tired, probably because of the natural size difference with Chris. It didn't start off at Unzinger from round 1. Both swinging out. Chris started off on the jab. Conor started off trying to be explosive and probably trying to nail Chris early because he's seen, my fight and I hear Chris early, so he's probably thought his best chance of hitting Chris is while he's fresh and explosive.
Liam, I heard Simon have a tweak at you for not showing up for Top Boxing. You can have a tweak back. Simon didn't go to he didn't go to the first fight, Liam, at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I did, and it was hugely memorable. Should Simon attend the second one?
Yeah, I think he should. Regardless of what you think of everyone around it. Eddie, the scenario with the fathers selling the fight and whatnot. It was a good fight, take everything away from it. It was a good, entertaining fight to watch, and it was a lot better than most people expected.
Yeah, there you go.
You won world titles, that you've just laid out the claim that these two guys have not won anything between them, that all this noise, all this background noise, all this money's being generated. Don't you look at it and go, hang on a second?
100%, but like I said, I've been in the game long enough now, and we know that's the nature of the beast. That's the downside to it. Look, I said, if I take a kid now who I know is a class kid to turn professional, one question will be, what have you won? And that will probably go in 1 year out the other, unless he's an Olympic medalist. The next question will be, how many tickets can you sell in your hometown? And that's like the sport we're in. It's about generating that side to it. If I sell 400 tickets on my debut, I'm covering my wages, my opponent's wages, and then money in the promoter's pocket towards the top of the bill's wages. So that's just the game we're in. We know these who have been brought up with, fathers who were legends in this, this sport, and they've been blessed, been very lucky as well. Chris Eubank Jr. had made absolute fortunes in his career before that fight, and again, has never been a world champion, so
sure,
we're just blessed to be born.
You just have to accept that. Liam, what's next for you? Are you now officially retired?
Not officially, but I'm just trying to try and get myself back fit. If I can get back fit and get myself back where I was, then I'll have another one. If I can't, then I'll retire. But I'm gonna start me sparring with a couple of fighters who people are talking about, people are raving about. See what I've got left. But if I can't find the gears that I had, because that's what I struggled with after the back injury, get myself back into shape where I was always a fighter who, had gears to go through, and I couldn't really find them gears. Not really the Eubank Jr. rematch, because that was what it was. But like I said, the last fight, I just had no gears to go through, following Adam McKenna around the ring. So, we'll see.
Liam, the fighter's always the first one to know it and the last ones to accept it. Are you at this stage of your career right now where you go, if it's not there anymore, you get in your sparring and it's not quite there, you would know straight away.
Yeah.
Will you accept that is time and it will be time to hang them up?
Yeah, 1,000,000%. Like I say, look, even what I've just said can be, all the crap, sparring. I was okay sparring last time. I got in the ring and just had no gears to go through. It was nothing really. I couldn't. I said all along, Adam McKenna, that style was made for me, cutting the ring off, and I felt, me on my game, I could have really got to that after 5 or 6, but I just couldn't seem to find any gears to go through. I had no injection in my legs to close the ring down.
Sure.
And whether that was the long time out the ring, I don't know, but I could be done. I've had a long career, and we'll see. But I'm going to get myself back fit regardless anyway. There's other options, there's other avenues for me. So
Liam, good man. Listen, thanks for joining us. I can't speak for Simon, but I would be good at getting in the ring, Liam. It's just what happens after that. I'd be no use at it whatsoever. Liam Smith, thank you so much for joining us. Always, we wish you well. But we're coming up to 12:30.
Here are some of the best off-camera anecdotes from recent years at the Ryder Cup. As caddy Billy Foster went to relieve himself at the Belfry, he noticed only one of the 2 cubicles had toilet paper. Shortly after he'd sat down, Tiger Woods went into the empty cubicle and realised his mistake all too late. So Foster took some paper, reached under the cubicle with a rescue offering, and as Tiger went to take it, Foster uttered the words, "Europe, 1 up." Fast forward 10 years to the miraculous Medina. Roy McIlroy overslept and was in danger of missing his Sunday tea time. Thankfully, travel organiser Erica Stoll sorted him a police escort. And 3 years later, McIlroy proposed.
Scottish legend Sam Torrance tells many a yarn about the great Ballesteros. Apparently, Seve would regularly give coaching clinics to his European teammates. When the same players asked for help a week later at the Italian Open, Seve would tell them to Having started with a Billy Foster story, let's finish with one from the 12th tee at Oakland Hills in 2004. It was Jimenez and Garcia against Westwood and Clark in a practice round. And as they finished, Foster decided to jump in the buggy and speed away with all their clubs, only to lose control entirely and see it careering towards the spectators. Thankfully, the Red Sea parted and the buggy smashed into a tree, with viewers and clubs still intact.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's now just gone 12:30 this Thursday lunchtime. It's Jim White, it's Simon Jordan, and it's Spencer Oliver. And we are live in talkSPORT, live in your television as well. Whatever you want to watch us, you can watch us. And many of you are doing that, and many of you are telling me you are watching us live on Samsung, on Prime Video. Whatever you want to watch us, you can watch us live. And I tell you this, I promise you one thing. The next few moments are going to be, if nothing else, thoroughly entertaining. I can assure you of that. Because from Vegas to London and Saudi Arabia, many in the world of boxing are predicting the next big space for the sport, undoubtedly Africa and undoubtedly West Africa. I am delighted to say that joining us now is a man at the forefront of shaping the sport of boxing in that parts of the world, particularly in Nigeria. And he's the chief executive, and I love the name, of course, I'm Scottish, Balmoral Group Promotions, Dr. Ezekiel Adamu. It is good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Jim. Thanks for having me.
We've given you the biggest build-up we could possibly manage.
Absolutely.
You don't need that because you've a massive personality yourself. I could see you greeting Simon through the glass there when we had the news bulletin with Amelia, and you know this man Spencer Oliver as
Spencer's
well.
a brother.
Tell me this, and tell me your story. Why are you so passionate about the sport of boxing and giving back to Nigeria?
So I always tell people, like, I didn't choose boxing. I think boxing chose me. We started with boxing about a few years ago, and the momentum has been tremendous. The impact has been crazy. It's just amazing, to be honest with you. And the journey keeps going. Like I said to Simon earlier, I said, if we've done this in a couple of years, in the next 2-3 years, I believe African boxing will be one of the top boxings globally. Not just in Africa, but globally.
Ezekiel, it is very important that we do get African boxing back on the map, isn't it? You go back, what was it, 50-year anniversary now to Ali and Foreman. You look, all those times. And I was over there just recently, and I saw the gyms, and I saw the talent that was in the gyms that don't get the opportunity and don't get that, just the opportunity, really.
Or the recognition.
The recognition. And you see some of those kids that are over there, and you go, that kid would be a star, would be a champion. And you're giving them that platform. And that is important because I think that will reshape boxing in many ways, because the African kids are not getting the opportunity. You don't see them. So it's not always the best kid that reaches the top. It's the ones that get those opportunities. And you're opening that door.
Absolutely. And that's why I say when I came in here, I said talkSPORT for me absolutely is actually one of my biggest platforms in the world. And I'm grateful to you guys, what you guys are doing. You're not partial. You're putting Africa on the map. And we're eternally grateful for that. You saw when you came to the studio, to the gyms as well too. You saw the kids from 2 years old, 3 years old, they're boxing. And you saw in Africa it's a bit different. When you box here, it's passion. In Africa, it's a way out of life. So for them, it's There's no other option. It's just you box your way out of poverty. You box your way out of everything you're doing. So expect to get a lot more champions. So, I mean, you saw Taiwo Agbaje.
Simon,
you saw Taiwo Agbaje. Look at what he did.
Absolutely. But you go in these gyms, Simon, right, and you look at and Ezekiel's right in what he says that they're 3, 4, 5, 6. These kids can fight, and you just go, if they had the platform, the opportunity, because they're all in there for a little bit of hope.
Sport over there. I mean, obviously, in that part of the world, being involved in football, I had Nigerian players like Victor Moses, and so I've seen the sports that are prevalent over in that part of the world. How big is boxing and the infrastructure for the opportunity?
So boxing is big, but as there's never been a proper platform where they can showcase their talent. So most of the time, you have to wait for an opportunity for 1 or 2 people to come over here or to travel to the US and all of that. But right now, you've got the platform now, and I kid you not, these guys used to box in the streets before, but since we get this platform now, they're actually paying for themselves to go to the proper gym now. Just like you have in Saudi, where boxing has become a big thing now, just like that in Nigeria as well. I'm super impressed in terms of how they're taking it. They're taking it very serious now. And I mean it, in the next couple of years, expect to see some world champions from Nigeria.
Yeah, I've been in neighbouring Ghana, Ezekiel, and Azuma Nelson is the big name there. And he's a legend of the sport in that
Absolutely,
part of the
it's
world.
our legend.
Nigeria, right next to Ghana. That whole area, I'm sure, is just waiting to explode when it comes to boxing. And you're trying your level best. You're educated in this part of the world. I noticed you began your academic journey at Arwin College in Leicester.
Absolutely.
Now you're a businessman, you're a humanitarian, you're a philanthropist, but you've got a passion for entrepreneurship. And this fella knows exactly what it's like to be a major entrepreneur. And you have a commitment to excellence. But you want to direct all of that into seeing this sport explode in Nigeria.
Yes, that's right. So I've been involved in music in the past, and you've seen Afrobeats at the moment. This one is one of the top genres of music in the world at the moment. So we have absolutely no doubt that boxing is going to get to that level as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely no doubt.
I mean, it's terrifically exciting, isn't it?
It is exciting.
I get the impression you're not going to stop until you get to that target area you're aiming for.
We're not stopping. We're not stopping. We're not aiming to be the best in Africa. We're aiming to be the best globally.
What? Globally?
Globally.
And that takes in Saudi, that takes in every other country.
That takes everywhere. It's not about perfection for us, like I say, it's about momentum. And if we've done this in just a couple of years, sometimes people underestimate what you can do. People overestimate what you can do in a year, but underestimate what you can do in 3, 4, 5, 6 years. And that's where we're headed.
Have you got the financial backing, though? I mean, look at the financial backing that Saudi Arabia can give the sport.
I tell you what, you've got a population. You've got a population of about 1.4 billion people in Africa. You've got the biggest businesses in Africa. It is a huge number. And Africa, as I tell you, we have about 1.4 billion people, and half of that, 70% of that population is from the ages of 16 to 30. So it means that we are growing. We will grow.
Where did the influence come from? Was it because what you saw what Saudi Arabia had done and the influence that they had on boxing, and how they changed the sport and reshaped the sport in many ways?
Yeah.
Is that where it started from?
Saudi. It came in from Saudi. Look at what Saudi has done. Look at what the boxing everywhere else has done. And like I said, I didn't choose boxing. I think boxing chose us. And I don't give up when I start something. That's the thing. We're not going to rest. We have the government behind us. And then we have the top brands behind us. I think our biggest sponsor, Bet Niger, which is our major headline sponsor, already they signed Moses Atuma. And Moses Atuma coming in on this event already, they're actually renovating about 4 gyms already. Well, so we're coming up with gyms already. So expect to see, this is just keep growing. We'll keep growing.
Yeah, and last month you had a big event on Nigeria Independence Day. I love what you called it. Chaos in the Ring.
Chaos in the Ring.
That was a great... If you're going to call it anything fancy, call it that. Welcome to Chaos in the Ring.
Welcome to Chaos in the Ring.
Amir Khan's UK promotions were involved in that. Now you're looking ahead to December the 19th, and you've got a card planned over in Nigeria. Lawrence Okoli, who Simon and I spoke to the other day, was already lined up for it. David Adley is already lined up for it. Have you got plans to get Anthony Joshua out to that part of the world?
So, the ultimate plan for us is to have Anthony Joshua come fight in Nigeria because I think it's the biggest name in boxing even until today. He's Nigerian. We would like to see him. We've put in an offer to Matchroom already, so I don't want to jinx it by saying anything any more than that, but we've put in an offer already. We're looking to have him fight April next year, and we'll just wait for Matchroom to get back to us and see.
Have you had any conversations with Anthony?
I know Anthony, so we have to speak to Matchroom anyway. So I don't want to say too much more than that. But yes, the ultimate is to have Anthony fight in Nigeria. And like I said, if you look at the heavyweight category, I recently found out that even Dubois is Nigerian. He's got some Nigerian blood in him. I didn't realize. So I mean, I've spoken with Deontay Wilder. He wants to fight in Nigeria because they say he has some Nigerian blood in him. So we have so many Nigerians in the heavyweight category, and then why not? Why not bring everyone back home? So we've got Okoli at the moment. We've got Adelaide. Next one, we're looking at AJ, and then we'll keep it going like that.
One thing I did recognise, actually, when we was over there, and that was in the airport and all around the streets on the big billboards, is Moses Atalma is everywhere over there.
Yes,
he is. He's a big name over there, isn't he?
He is a big name, and also, Bet Niger is a big brand over there.
And they back him.
And they back him as well, too. So he's major over there. AJ is major. Okoli was actually surprised when he went into the local gyms and he saw his pictures all over the local gyms. Like, wow, they know me here. I said, yeah. And it's like we worship our celebrities over there, literally. So, I mean, for them as well, too, Okoli came in there, was like, listen, I can't wait to come back here and fight.
I totally identify with what you're saying, Ezekiel. Many years ago, I went to Senegal with Patrick Vieira, former Arsenal captain, and the country came to a standstill. That's what happens in that part of the world. Everything stops.
Everything stops. Everything stops.
Now, you're talking about global dominance one day for Nigeria. Is there anything in terms of a barrier in the way of you achieving that? Do you even envisage a barrier on the horizon?
So I'm someone that believes that those barriers are what gets you better, right? If it was all smooth, then you won't get it. So the barriers keep you stronger and they keep you getting better. So I see the barriers, but then we will definitely overcome it. Just like we've done with music, just like we've done with other areas. Boxing, we'll fight our way out of these barriers.
You know, Simon, when a gentleman like Ezekiel has an appetite for his sport like this, and to see it grow and flourish in his country, it's hard to think there's anything that's going to get in his way.
The fascinating thing is to debate whether the world of boxing can get to the levels that people think it can. Because I have this debate with Turkey Al-Sheikh about where this sport can get to and the level and the ceiling of the industry. Not the ceilings of this man's ambitions or his capabilities, but the ceiling of this sport. But if you don't push the envelope, and if you don't push it and center it with ambition and best-in-class thinking, then you have no chance. There's nothing wrong with any of that. My big debate is where boxing can be, what space it can fill, because it can't touch football, because football's up and away. It won't take that audience.
Yeah.
But whether it can start to move above others, and it has. Now, a lot of that's to do with the Saudi phenomenon. And Turkey himself has spoke about the necessity and the opportunity that exists in this man's part of the world. So, of course it does. And of course he should shoot for the stars, because he'll take the moon on the way up, right?
Absolutely.
Ezekiel, terrific. Already we're getting an enormous reaction to this. People love your enthusiasm for it. And who's to say that enthusiasm can't be matched by it actually happening? And nobody in here doubts that it will.
Jamie, it will happen.
Brilliant. Let's do a show from Nigeria. Shall we do that, Ezekiel? Yeah, we'll go out. Shall we? We'll do a show someday soon from over in Nigeria.
Yes, why not? So let's do that.
Mr. Jordan will arrive in the country kind of shoulder high. I'll make sure of it.
You know what? I do feel like you said something about football and boxing, right? That football is the biggest sport in the world. You can't really talk about that. But what I feel, in my own opinion, right? Football, I feel like for you to break in. It becomes a bit difficult for you to break into the team or to break into boxes. Me and you in the ring.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's what it comes down to.
Me and you in the ring. So if I get it down that level, I can get to the highest level. So for me, it's easier to break into boxing.
My point I'm making is not so much about the access point of getting into it. It's about the level and scale of the industry and the broadcasting interest, because we both know that broadcasters fund it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
All roads lead to your part of the world on December the 19th, and Lawrence Okoli will top the bill. We look forward to it. It's been great having you. Absolutely great having you, Dr. Ezekiel Adamu. And I think we're going to be hearing Spencer Simon and a lot more from the good doctor in the weeks and months ahead. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Fantastic. Thursday lunchtime, we're live in talkSPORT. Now then, you know all about it. It's our biggest competition yet. The lines close today at 4. And this is your final chance to play and win 100 grand, completely tax-free. If you're the lucky winner, you'll join us at talkSPORT on Thursday, November the 13th to play for that life-changing cash. £100,000 can be yours. Here's how to enter.
18 plus UK excluding Northern Ireland. For a chance to win, text the word cash to 83338 and you're in the draw. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. You must have the bill payer's permission, or you can enter for free by calling 0330 880 3338. All entries must be received by the 6th of November at 4 p.m. This is a TalkSPORT limited promotion run on TalkSPORT, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. Full terms and conditions at talksport.com.
The man pushing Nigerian boxing has come and gone, Dr. Ezekiel Adamu. Many people getting in touch saying, my God, whatever that fella does in life, we will back him to the hilt. He's got a very persuasive way about him, hasn't he? Extremely infectious attitude that he's got about the sport that he loves, the sport of boxing, Spencer.
That's the word, Jim, infectious, and he has passion, you know, and they want to open up that part of the world. So, yeah, he's a good guy to have behind the sport.
For sure. Question marks remain. Simon and I spoke about this earlier on in the company of Zach Parker, the boxer who in recent days took on and failed to beat Josh Buatsi. It was a controversial points decision. It went Buatsi's way and not Zach Parker's. You were there, Spencer, of course you were. Josh Buatsi, how long can he remain unconvincing in his bid for world titles?
Well, look, when Joshua Buatsi turned pro after picking up that bronze medal in the Rio 2016 Olympics, you looked at it and go, this kid is the future. And once I think he was the prospect globally, not just in this country. He looked at it, one of the best prospects globally. And he started off really, really well. And I think you have to go back to, who was it? Craig Richards, 2022, May 2022 at the O2. You go, that was probably the last really good performance I've seen from Buatsi. And since then, I've not seen,
long ago?
Yeah, not seen the Buatsi.
Willie Hutchinson?
Yeah, yeah, but was that as good a, mind you, just taking nothing away from Willie? Yeah, maybe Willie Hutchinson, but you just go,
I think you'll see more from Josh. The style of that fight doesn't suit Josh Buatsi. I thought Josh looked good in the Callum Smith fight. He just got worked out by Callum Smith, who's a much more experienced world-level fighter. I think if you stick Josh Buatsi in a come-forward fight, you'll see a different. You'll see Josh Buatsi go up levels rather than what you saw in the fight against Zach Parker.
I hope so, because he's a great talent and a great fighter, and it's frustrating watching him. And it was frustrating watching him against Zach Parker because you go like, you're not seeing it. He's not delivering it. It was there was no purpose around his work at all.
But it's also like Dan Aziz dragged him up, didn't he? Because Josh was the same one pace against Dan Aziz until Dan Aziz made it into a fight, and Josh had to raise his level, keep on raising his level, and eventually you saw the difference between Josh and Dan Aziz.
Yeah.
And in the situation with Zach Parker, with respect to Zach, who didn't lose that fight, he didn't really come to fight, did he?
He tactically got it right because he nicked the fight, and that's basically what he'd done. He was throwing the shots. He said to me, I had a good conversation with him about it. He said, look, I know physically I wasn't strong enough to stand there, Buatsi. He was physically very, very strong, and he liked to work on the inside. So he had a game plan, he stuck to it, and really he won the fight. He was very unfortunate that it didn't go his way.
Spencer, Johnny is a big fight fan. He's saying, Jim, ask Spencer on my behalf, what is going on December the 13th? Is it right? No Itoma, no Chisora. Who's fighting who? Or more importantly, who is not fighting who?
I don't believe that show goes ahead. I think that December the 13th, is pretty much dead and buried in the water. I don't think they've released that statement yet, but I think that with, the big names now off the show, Moses Atama now doesn't look like he's going to be boxing until February time. Derek Chisora versus Dillian White, I don't think that they could sort of make up the numbers for that fight to take centre stage, and so I think that fight is in jeopardy as well.
Chisora. What's Chisora saying to you?
Well, Chisora wants to fight. He's looking for 50 and out, and he's looking for a big fight with the right figure on the table. I think he's looking for the right pension fund, and I don't believe that it was maybe not on the table in going into this fight with what had happened to the show.
He's not alone. We're all looking for the right pension fund.
Yeah, well, I think Derek's earned that right, hasn't he? Like he's given us some memorable nights over the years for sure. I think you'd even agree with me with that, Simon, would you?
I don't begrudge Derek anything. That's why I don't get on the bandwagon about when he should retire. It's up to him.
Yeah, exactly.
But so it looks doubtful that show on December the 13th is happening. Let's hope it gets rescheduled. The first two that he had with Dillian White, by the way, were probably two of the best British heavyweight fights in history. You look at that; they both left it all in the ring. So Why not a trilogy for both of those guys? Dillian's at that stage of his career as well.
Yeah.
Let's hope we get it sooner rather than later.
Okay. Spencer Oliver, thanking you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Simon, you've got to do what? Cuddle up to a night nurse this afternoon, I think.
If I can find one.
If we can find one who's willing and able, he'll cuddle up. It's 1 o'clock.